Is there any
But
way?
that's not what I'm. But that's not what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. You want to prove that the Earth isn't moving or the stars are moving. This is the fucking experiment that proved beyond a shadow of a doubt it's the stars moving.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Well, that and Dayton
But
Miller
that's
and
not.
Gary Gallup.
But that wasn't the conclusion of the experiment.
Well, that's why I was going to ask you. Can you steelman the experiment and tell us about it?
No, I'm not an expert on Aries failure.
Well,
How do you know how do you know it does anything you say it does?
Because it doesn't prove the Earth is.
How do you know? You don't even know how to steelman it. You can't even defend it. The best you can do right now, the best you can do is go, maybe I should look into this and get some information on Aries failure.
Okay, like you guys did with stellar aberration.
Well, if I may, for a moment on stellar aberration, you keep getting stuck on that, but it works the same in our theory, because if the stars are no, don't cut me off. I waited a long time to say something.
Sure.
The stars are moving above us. There's always going to be aberration.
Okay, in what pattern?
In the pattern
that's observed.
The whole point is that they go in a specific pattern.
Yeah. So
explain that pattern on a flat Earth or a stationary Earth. Why does that pattern match the orbit of the Earth around the sun if we're stationary?
Well, the measurement
because their
itself
science tells us that, and that.
What's up, Ether Cat Boys? Go ahead, Elon.
Yo, what up, lad? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Real Andromeda. The measurement itself is just kinematics, so it's just following the motion in the sky. So it could equally just be said that it's based on the position of the sun rather than the position of Earth, because they're interchangeable in that regard with just the measurement alone in air. That's why it was so significant when they added water to the telescope, because the angle should have changed, and they had already experimentally verified in several different ways that the angle increases with the velocity.
Okay, so back to the pattern of the stars as we orbit the Earth, as we orbit the sun. How does that match on a flat Earth or if the Earth is stationary? I still haven't got an answer yet.
Just the sky's in motion. That's all.
Just the sky is in motion.
Yeah. Instead of just the Earth being in motion, it's just the split. It's just the same, but in reverse.
So what's the plausible mechanism of the sky in motion?
Well, that would be the same question as like, why does Earth rotate? You have a nice story about the sun being ejected from the the Earth being ejected from the sun's accretion disk and being hit by a Mars-sized object and all that. But like who can verify any of that? Asking the reason why the sky is rotating is not it's not a question I can answer.
Because it matches all of the motions and the measurements.
It matches the kinematic equivalence. Like I said, man,
it's not a kinematic equivalence if you can't equivalent.
No, it is.
The star motion.
No, it really is.
Well,
listen. It does.
Well, hold on. Let's take a look at what kinematics are, and it's just position and time, right? So what you're looking at is a aberration over time. So there's a change in position over time. That's literally the definition of kinematics. Like what you're asserting as mutual exclusivity isn't there in the measurement of aberration alone, because the Earth could be stationary and the sky could be moving, and everything that you observe would be the exact same.
Okay.
Because
now, what would happen if the redshift matches exactly as the same as the pattern in stellar aberration? Then what?
Do you have any redshift measurements that correspond to 30 kilometers a second?
The redshift is not. The redshift is half the stars are redshifted as we go one direction around the sun, and then as we rotate around the sun, the other are shifted. And then the second half of the year, they reverse. And so we know that if we're doing that, you can literally map out that we are.
Well, there's
the redshift, blue shift of each of the stars that are around us.
Well, do you know why he asked?
So 1 second. The mechanism of shift could also be the same scenario. That's also just kinematics. You wouldn't be able to tell if they were just changing their position relative to you, especially if there was a field introduced. Now, I personally don't like citing Ken Wheeler for things too much because, that guy says a lot of things that don't make sense. But he has an awesome demonstration where he just takes a magnet and puts the ferrocell over it, and you could see the red and blue shift of the light as he moves it through the magnetic field, the LED lights. And that's, irrespective of how you feel about that guy, the relative motion through a field will create the same exact effect that you're citing as mutual proof. The reason why I asked about the velocity component specifically is because they're supposed to have a specific velocity number for the Earth around the sun, and that would correspond to 30 kilometers a second. But the velocities for what you're citing in general, I think, are just the the cosmological shift or whatever. You know what I'm talking about, like that red shift. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about redshift as in direction of travel.
I got you.
The zodiacal constellations, as in the rotational velocity, the 1 degree per day around the zodiacal constellations. We see this coincided with our orbit around the sun. We can map the stars that line up with each of the zodiacal constellations in the night sky. So that way we can see that every summer we see one constellation, every winter we see another constellation, spring and fall we see the same constellations. As we orbit the sun. That cannot be explained on a stationary Earth.
Well, it absolutely can, because in the same respect, the position of the sun is what dictates where you're, where quote unquote our position for the position of these where we're at in the zodiacal pattern or whatever. So in that, it's still dependent on the position of the sun in the same way that Kepler's laws, right? They watch the sun over 365 days, go back to the same spot. They take that periodicity and use that ratio for, asserting that the Earth is in motion. But they got the measurement from just the observation alone. So just the measurement alone doesn't exclusively tell us anything. So if the redshift corresponds, like you would have to show me that it corresponds to 30 kilometers a second for the full value of the shift, not just that there is a shift. So if you have like a specific citation or anything from that, I would definitely look forward to reading that.
Yeah, so Kepler gave us the perfectly predicted locations and orbit of each of the planets. So that way we could predict, and we know exactly where Mercury would be, where Venus would be, where Saturn would be. In fact, it gave us so good that we were able to determine where some of the planets were that are not visible to the naked eye. So everything that matches up for the heliocentric model is all matched up with Kepler's equations. So I mean, trying to invoke Kepler is not really going to help the stationary Earth theory.
Well, let's do some clarification here, because I think you were mixing. I think the argument that you were trying to make was that Newtonian dynamics provides that prediction, and like through the gravitation prediction, they say that they discovered, what was it, Uranus or Neptune? I forget which one, but they say that one was offset by one.
They used the aberration of Neptune to find Uranus.
Yeah, something like that.
Perfectly, and that matched perfectly, but that was due to the gravitational shift. But my whole point is that they were able to determine where Neptune would be, and they found it. They were able to determine and predict where each of the Saturn's moons and jovial moons would be. That matched. So Kepler's formulas are not really something you want to bring up on a stationary Earth model or a non-heliocentric model.
Oh no, I absolutely want to bring them up, and I explicitly want to define two things separately from one another, because Kepler's laws, the ones that we're specifically referencing, are just a ratio of periodicity and pi, and that's not a prediction. Those are postdictions, because you have to have the periodicity first before you could do the ratio. So they observe the complete cycle, and then they ratio that to pi, and then that's how they get the future quote unquote predictions. But they're not predictions; they're postdictions on a cycle as a ratio of periodicity. And then the stronger argument that you were attempting to make was that Newtonian dynamics is what provides that, and that's GMM over R squared. But the thing with that equation is that the m's in that equation cancel out, and the g ends up being just used as like a proportional ratio to put in the kilograms per, or kilograms per something squared. So anyway,
how do the m's cancel out? You guys keep saying that, but I still haven't figured out how that works out.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, algebraically, they're the same, unit thing, so they can cancel out that way, and the justification for it.
Algebraically, they're two positive numbers.
Yeah, they cancel.
And the formula multiplies them together.
They cancel out.
One of the masses is negative.
No, they cancel out in terms of algebra, because they're the same thing. So you can just
two different things.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna link you a video. Listen, do you know who Res Rhetoric is? I'm going to link you a video. In the first 5 minutes, the guy, he has a guest come on and break down the equivalence of Newtonian dynamics and Kepler's laws and how you derive the two from one another.
Right.
And so hold on 1 second. So, and on top of that, the reason, another thing that they say in the mainstream about why that they're like okay with this canceling out is because they say that the mass of the sun is so massive that when they do the calculations, it doesn't really change anything that much. So they always make it relative to the sun frame. But that's something that they solve algebraically from just using the periodicity of watching the sun go around the Earth. So they've got dynamics that they're asserting that fall back to the original kinematic equations. Now I'll link you a video where you can hear the guy go through the process of that, so you can get it. You can get your question answered. But the point is that the dynamics aren't even there. And then regarding Neptune and Uranus, the full story on that is if you go to look into the archives, there was a missing. Like all the letters and transcripts between the astronomers. I forget the names. It was I want to say Leverrier and some other guy. All the transcripts were missing for like 40 years. They ended up refinding them. But the main thing with the transcripts being missing is what they don't tell you is that over that period of time there were hundreds and hundreds of different predictions, and they weren't using any gravitational model or anything like that. They were just using sine and cosines and just basically kinematics to try and make the predictions. And when they finally got one that was close, that's what they accepted. So there's a whole historical archive on that I can link you to as well.
That's a cool story, but that's not how it happened. But anyway, so if you guys can figure out how you can get stellar aberration patterns to match on a stationary Earth, and how that you can get them to perfectly match up with the red shift of the stars, and how it matches exactly with the zodiacal constellations on a stationary Earth, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah,
Well,
the celestial bodies are in relative motion to one another, and the Earth stationary. It produces the same effect. Just the
That's a
opposite.
great story, but what's the
Just
plausible
listen.
mechanism of that?
The plausible mechanism is irrelevant. Like they end up saying cosmologically that dark matter is a causal mechanism of things, and that's just literally
That's just a
algebraically.
hypothesis. That's just a hypothesis.
well,
Yeah,
I
so
would
Okay.
hypothesize-
nobody knows.
Back
So
That's
to my
point, yes.
question. Back to my question.
Again,
Einstein
even
made
said
the
it.
claim.
Even Einstein said
He
they
said
can't
stellar
tell if it's the
aberration
Earth
and
or the stars
redshift
moving.
confirm our orbit around the sun, is what Einstein said. So
He
my whole
declared
point
it.
is,
Proving it, he
and
did not do. He declared it. There's a
he
difference.
declared it, and it's been proven since.
It has not.
It's been confirmed.
Just because you
It
keep on
has.
seeing that shit up in the air
Just
doesn't
because
mean
you say
it-
nuh-uh doesn't make it
Dude,
science.
we didn't do nuh-uh. We got Aries failure and Michelson-Morley, man. That's why he
Okay,
asked you about the
so
redshift. That's why he asked you about the redshift that compared to 30 kilometers per second.
redshift.
Yeah, so there is no measurement of that. That's what he kept saying. So just the fact that there is red and blue shift, and we're saying, hey, there is magnetic retardation in the same color for the same, like, if you're saying the Earth moves and we're saying the sky moves around you, that's the age-old equivalence of heliocentric versus geocentric. And in your current model, in relativity, you know, no frame is special, so actually everything is equal. Literally, your model is built on geocentric observations converted to a heliocentric frame, and the equivalence there is quoted by so many geocentrists and physicists that we can go through to show you that they're exactly equal and proportional. So all of these measurements and observations.
Geocentrism doesn't work with Mercury and Venus. The path of Mercury and Venus doesn't work with geocentrism.
Why not?
You're saying the perihelion precession, actually, which is based on the epicycles of Ptolemy's model that he put forward, the very observations based, the geocentric model, you're saying that doesn't work with the model from whence it came? Do I recognize you? Did we talk like 2 years ago? Who is this? I think that's conspiracy.
Yeah, you spoke to him back during Flat Earth Fridays.
I mean, it's nobody
He
going to bring
accused Alan of a few things.
It's nobody going to bring up that Einstein is just questionable in general. He was like a fucking clerk who they rolled out just to push some bullshit theories or whatever.
Well, relativity is the band-aid that rescued the model after the disastrous Michelson-Morley. Everyone knows that, right? When they go measure this 30 kilometers a second that Alan was asking for politely that no one will ever produce because it's never been measured in the history of science and geometry and man, because it's the proof that Earth orbits around the sun. And Einstein had to come along 18 years after the lack of the measurement to say, actually, you know what? It totally is moving. We do believe that, but we'll never be able to measure it. And there's no optical experiment I know that could ever show you such. So in that way, we can use the Lorentz contraction. Notice how we still that it's not called the Einstein contraction, and we can, you know, we'll never be able to measure it because according to Arthur, whatever his name is, said that actually the arm of the interferometer extending towards the motion will contract in such a way that it won't be measurable by any such device. So the Lorentz contraction saves Michelson-Morley by applying relativistic framework to a measurement that they could never get, and that's where we're at, and that's why it's super important.
Did we lose him? Oh, conspiracy smasher. Come on. We were almost getting there.
I thought we wanted to go through Kepler's law. He brought up that he's like, how does it mass cancel out, dude? It's awesome. It's one of our favorite things. G over MM over R squared. Dude, they equate centripetal and gravitational force to each other. So then you have T squared over R cubed equals 4 pi squared over GM. And then you're left with like T squared equals approximately R cubed, which is exactly Kepler's third law, which is, you know, the square of the orbital period is proportional to the cube of the semi-major actors, I think, right? So that's R. So that's how it's kinematics. You just observe it. Like, so what that tells you is the rate at which the thing will come back to a period in the sky that you point at. That's all that tells you. And he was about to say, actually, that proves that mass attracts mass. And like the whole point is, well, the mass was in the equation, but it went bye-bye and algebraically got canceled out from each other by equating the two forces. So literally, there's no dynamic cause in the equation that you think is the dynamic cause. So it's just a weird juxtaposition.
You know, guys, as a rookie to this shit, just a layman coming in, you know, I've heard about flat Earth for a while, and I looked at it and said, it seems about right.
I wanted to go through Kepler's law. He brought up that he's like, how does it mass cancel out, dude? It's awesome. It's one of our favorite things. G over MM over R squared. Dude, they equate centripetal and gravitational force to each other. So then you have T squared over R cubed equals 4 pi squared over GM. And then you're left with like T squared equals approximately R cubed, which is exactly Kepler's third law, which is, you know, the square of the orbital period is proportional to the cube of the semi-major actors, I think, right? So that's R. So that's how it's kinematics. You just observe it. Like, so what that tells you is the rate at which the thing will come back to a period in the sky that you point at. That's all that tells you. And he was about to say, actually, that proves that mass attracts mass. And like the whole point is, well, the mass was in the equation, but it went bye-bye and algebraically got canceled out from each other by equating the two forces. So literally, there is no dynamic cause in the equation that you think is the dynamic cause. So it's just a weird juxtaposition.
You know, guys, as a rookie to this shit, just a layman coming in, you know, I've heard about flat Earth for a while, and I looked at it and said, it seems about right. And I come over here, and you guys, the crazies, you know, the conspiracy theorists, the tinfoil hat people, y'all have y'all shit together, and all these shills who come in to argue against you, well, they seem to be shilling something. I don't know, why do they even care? If we're just all stupid and retarded for believing this, then why are they talking to us? I don't know, I'm still on flat Earth right now.
That's a very good question. Like if there was a group of people who hated the grass being green, and you were like, guys, they're so stupid. They're like, no, the grass should be blue. You would laugh at them, and you would go about your life. You wouldn't go to the grass should be blue meetings. You wouldn't hang out at grass should be blue video comments and spend all your time responding to comments about these dumb people who want grass to be blue. You wouldn't give a shit, right? It's so weird.
Unless some powerful rich bastards had sent somebody in to say, hey, change these people's mind. That happens.
Well, not to be like socially analyst on it, but we talk about this a lot, the mentality of the people that we deal with on a regular basis. And I personally think it's this social club thing. It's like the thing that they project onto you, the people who don't get social gratification in the normal circle. They like to insult from the safety of the majority and the consensus. And then that way they don't really have to know anything or do anything, but they can come here and be like, yeah, stupid or whatever. And that's really what it is. And I get this social club reinforcement from it. That's why flat earth is.
Oh, that checks out totally. You know, it's like you say, they're just poking fun, they think, at us from the safety of, you know, I don't know. I mean, I think, yeah, 90% of the world that believes that it's round, you know, and I think they're wrong. But yeah, the safety is in numbers there. And, you know, when you start considering these things to be true, start talking to people about it, you will piss people off. You guys know. When you talk to normies about this stuff and they start to kind of see that, hey, maybe this guy is right. God, the immediate reaction is rage, you know, and that rage is born of the fact that, hey, I have been fooled. Somebody has lied to me and I bought that. I drank that Kool-Aid. So it's actually pretty simple. I mean, especially when you've seen it a million times.
Yeah.
Man, if they came out tomorrow and said the Earth was flat, all these globies would be all like, "Oh yeah, okay,
Like
I guess so."
if NASA said it, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, they'd say I knew it the whole time. I always said it was flat. Exactly.
You guys didn't really know, man. You're just throwing out some stupid stuff that didn't even make sense. But now that NASA said, totally freaking flat.
It's so funny though, because those people are all about consensus. Like Witsit says, the weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. But it's so funny because they go up against us, and most of us got here by independently thinking and critical. Like obviously, you don't become a conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat wearing, vaccine denying, you know, crazy nut job over here thinks the Earth's flat without going against some consensus and taking some ridicule along the way. So like by the time you get to this point, it's mostly who gives a shit. So they're like, haha, retard, and we're like, yeah, but you know, that's an ad hominem. Where's your rebuttal or whatever?
I mean, how many of us are really operating from the premise that, hey, if the masses believe it, I need to question it? That's kind of where I'm at.
Like if the government tells me it's probably the opposite, I'm gonna go the other way. Like whatever the WHO says, go the other way. If the United Nations doing it, it's probably bad. That's where I'm at with it.
So we still don't want Peter, right?
No, the pretend flat Earth glober, ether, FaceTimeist or whatever. Just absorb every position you can.
Okay, so since I got y'all here and y'all are quite informative, why have they foisted this bullshit upon us? Why is it coming out now and we're, you know, having discourse on it? Why did they push this shit on us? I mean, I know the kind of the basic answers that, you know, biblical cosmology, you know, and just theology in general. I get that, but there's probably something deeper there to it. They're hiding something from us, right? That's what are they hiding?
Reality. They can lie to you about this. They can lie to you about everything.
Yeah, that's
And
really
control. Control. It's all a control tactic.
Yeah.
Keep us divided, keep us segregated, keep us arguing, keep us hating, keep us pointing fingers at each other while they play their stupid fucking games.
Well, how do you control someone? Is you get them to not trust anything they see, hear, feel, or smell, right? Like if you can get them to distrust all of their senses and go to you in the form of quote experts, doctors, scientists, the mainstream, whatever, then you can literally control everything about them. It's the craziest thing. Because though when you just, as soon as they accept consensus, you just start controlling all the aspects of that. And like, what better way to control someone is actually nothing you see is real. Like the sun, it doesn't move, you move. It's the opposite. Like it's actually spinning backwards faster than the speed of sound, giving you the illusion of the thing. Oh, it looks like everything's moving around us, but it's just an illusion. You're moving through everything. Everything's moving at different speed. Like they have to get you to distrust nothing you see is real. You have to go ask a scientist if what you think is true, and then you're allowed to have your opinion or whatever. That's how they get it, and then everyone is controlled super bad, right?
Yeah, we'll know that our work's complete when everything that people believe is a lie.
That's what COVID showed me. That's what 2021 or whatever showed me. I was like, whoa, that's how they did it. Look at all these experts telling everyone to kill themselves or whatever. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
They just took that stuff. They just took that stuff. Man. A lot of smart people just said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take it. I was like, wow, dude, they haven't even tested on anybody. Like, well, you know, you got to trust somebody sometime. I'm like, the government? You chose the government? I'm saying don't. I've known you for a lot of years.
You got to start trusting somewhere.
So now my next thing that I'm wondering, I have been wondering, what the hell's going on with us? Are we just super freaking geniuses, pattern recognizers, that we've been on this shit for years, even at great personal cost? Because, you know, it kind of sucks getting laughed at for having unpopular opinions, but still, we stick to it because we're fucking retarded, apparently, they say.
Well,
so why are we so rare? You know?
Well, if the media is on your side, you're definitely on the wrong side. Yeah, but I do want to play this video here. Again, shout out to Synthetic. This is Witsit going over Redshift.
Just look into Halton R debunk redshift. Redshift is just the light is moving towards the red end of the spectrum as opposed to the other end of the spectrum, which is the blue end, right? Ultraviolet blue. It's very simple. The idea is that the further away something is moving away from you, the more redshifted it will be because it's going away from you, kind of like an ambulance passing you, and then the sound changes as it gets further away. That's the idea. So they see redshift and like, okay, we have to interpret that as accelerating and expanding away from us so that it makes it look like we're in the center, even though we're not. Now, no matter what any heliocentric apologist tells you, that is objectively what happened. Okay? They had to change the model because of what they saw. Edwin Hubble himself said that if we're wrong about our interpretation of redshift, then it's not recessional velocity or like effectively a Doppler effect, right? If that's not what it is, the universe is actually closed and finite, much more dense. Everything is much more local, and might I add, suspiciously young. That's what Edwin Hubble himself said. Of course, he's the one that came up with it, which is why the supposed rate at which the universe expands and accelerates is called the Hubble constant. Journey into democracy.
And suspiciously young.
Damn. That's a nice, concise breakdown, isn't it?
Right, turn on.
Thank you. I didn't understand what he said there. I thought he said suspiciously dumb. But yeah, thank you for that.
Well, it is dumb.
You see that? You take an observation that they say proves the Earth's in motion, even though it's never been substantiated, and especially never at the necessitated rate of 30 kilometers a second to equal 66,600 miles per hour. And they're like, look at our proof. And actually, when you look at it, no, it's not proof of that. And if it's not what we say it is, based on no evidence, meaning if that redshift and blue shift isn't a so-called Doppler effect from a coming and going of our so-called motion of the Earth, then it's not what we say it is, and nothing. Actually, it's the opposite of what it is, and we have a young universe that's expanding and contained and very, very young. That's so that they always take the evidence from Wikipedia. You'll say redshift and blue shift proves that we're moving, and in reality, it's no. It doesn't prove that we're moving, and if it doesn't, then it actually proves the opposite of a geocentric, young, created universe with everything moving around us. But can't have that because the Copernican principle is, disguising science as philosophy and rejecting the principle that we could be special or at the center of anything, and it's constructed science in a way that rejects any premise that actually hints at that.
I couldn't believe you just wouldn't pick up on the fact that the stars are moving and the Earth is moving, and even Einstein said it.
It's the funniest thing, dude.
I feel like the main thing that they're trying to cover up from us is that we're in a closed system, a pin. Okay, I feel like that's the main thing they're trying to cover up.
Dude, every observation, every model ever made, every ephemeris ever made is all from a geocentric perspective. Every historical civilization has always been geocentric. The fact that people think heliocentric is the default against all known observation is wild, and nobody even understands it. Before, the way they convinced it was through relativity and Einstein, right? Like, here's some math that you don't understand showing you that actually, when I convert our geocentric solar system to this equispaced heliocentric solar system by violating the three-body problem and aligning two sets of elliptical orbits that don't interfere instead of 7 interacting gravitational bodies, then actually it's the equivalent frame of reference, and it means no difference. But look, they're mathematically equal. That was the trick, the math that he pulled over everyone's eyes. And then people are like, if heliocentric is as equal as geocentric, then I guess it's okay to be heliocentric because that math explains all the observations are all the same. And for a while, everyone rode on that kinematic equivalence, right? Like, okay, it was cool to be heliocentric because after all, it's equivalent to geocentric, and everyone knows geocentric is everything we observe and true and works for everything. And now, after like 60 years, it's, you idiot, you think geocentric? Like, they think that the observations are matching heliocentric. They don't. They match heliocentric. They're converted to a heliocentric frame, and they're shown to them as equal circles. And they're like, look how pretty and equal and nice that is. And it's like, yeah, but nobody sees that. They see the twirly geocentric patterns that you're saying look silly, and you don't even know enough to know the difference between the Ptolemaic model or whatever that you're looking at. It's crazy.
Well, it really showcases the power of consensus reality, doesn't it?
I think it really shows how they can change consensus reality over like 2 generations maximum and have people invert their whole thinking. I think that's what happened. So quick a time, everyone changed.
Yeah, they're flexing. This is what I mean. You got it.
Did we lose our boy conspiracy smasher who's never smashed a conspiracy in his life?
Man, he dipped out, man.
He did have a bad.
It's probably my fault. Has to be confronted with a dumbass redneck high school dropout who doesn't believe his bullshit. That pisses him off really bad.
I remember him. Everyone pisses him off. Yeah.
He was getting facts.
He just came in thinking he was going to go with Brian, and then all y'all showed up.
I've seen that go like that. I've seen that go like that a lot, where you've got laymen's mixed in with subject matter experts like yourselves, and they're agreeing against the. I always call them shills. That pisses them off so bad. It's like, damn it, I'm losing my traction. My audience is leaving me, and I was never their audience. Fuck those guys.
Most of us started off believing what we were told. I mean, most of us aced their indoctrination programs, made it out of at least senior public school, and then we researched for ourselves, came to our own conclusions of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And I don't think that a lot of globies can handle that because they only depend on what they've been told.
Yeah, he just couldn't get the freaking equivalence, man. It's like, even Einstein said it's the stars or us. We're one of it doesn't even matter, man. It's the same coordinates. You still get there, no matter what you want to believe.
Ken and I have been posting geocentric quotes at these people for the past 2 days, and like they'll go from You're lying. That's not what he said. To let me reinterpret.
Damn,
Sorry.
who was that?
That was me. I was trying to scroll to see who's in the room. Hit the mute button.
Retweet the space. Tag a Globey.
Speaking of that, dude, did you get deleted again? Are you like the Nick Cage number 9 or whatever?
Man, I'm on 8.
8? Is it 8? I can see you already got like 3,000 or whatever. That's so cool. All right, 800. Okay, you're not that cool.
Dude, that's crazy.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Well, pretty awesome.
I just hate how he says like there's no mechanism. It can't work on a flat Earth. Yet they got the dark matter. They have no real explanation of gravity and how it would work in their quote unquote model. So it's just this double standard. We have to explain it, otherwise it can't be, and it must be what I'm saying it is, even though I don't even know what I'm saying.
Dude, he's asked for the mechanism. What's the mechanism? What's your mechanism? What's making the Earth spin?
The mechanism is the dynamics. That's why we always talk about kinematics and dynamics, and it is kinematics. And like his dynamics is the Kepler's third law. Like, that's why we said that's so devastating. You can get Kepler's third law out of Newton's law. Newton's law is supposed to be the dynamic cause. He was like, mass attracting mass is the reason for everything you see in the sky. That's why those elliptical orbits and observed periodicity by Kepler actually make sense. That's what's moving it. It's this force called gravity caused by mass attracting mass. And he came up with the equation, which was just a derivative of Kepler. And he was like, boom, this is the equation that causes mass attracting mass. And that's what we break down into that t squared is approximately equivalent to r cubed, or the square of the orbital period is proportional to the cube of the center major axis. That's how you get Kepler's third law out of Newton. And you do so by equating centripetal and gravitational force. So the dynamic cause that he's talking about isn't present in the final result of this kinematic equation, which just comes out as the original equation they started with, Kepler's third law, which is, how long it takes something to go around the point from when you see it for one day or whatever.
What's up, Mr. Steve Strange? How you doing?
Damn, Brian, I didn't even notice till Shane said something. When did you lose this account? What was that last one?
Yesterday.
Holy shit. Well, anyways, good to have you always. Good to see everybody. It's been a while. I haven't seen everyone here and see everyone here, which is really even better. Just how things come full circle. Literally we see things come full circle all the time annually. And I just want to say hello to everybody. It's glad to see everyone. Glad to hear Shane. It's been a while. How are the lads? Hope everybody's well. For the gentleman at the space, he says he's new. Kekito, I like your question, sir. I really do. And that's the magic of it. Just to keep asking. That's how a lot of us have gotten here, because we had the courage to ask questions, and that's really part of the whole journey. Whenever you ask why, well, isn't that even a better question? The ultimate question. It's like, yeah, why? Why would they do this? And that can keep going. We can apply a lot of different responses, a lot of different answers. And they all hit different levels to where we are at. We are all in this space, in this, this comprehension of this very peculiar realm that we are in. But even then, so we are still at our own unique levels of where we're at in our own universe, within ourselves. So I think that's where it matters whenever you ask, what makes us so special? Why are we a minority? Those of us waking up or making a choice. Really, that's what it comes down to the ability of who's able to make the choice. And, that what we've been subjected to is a lot of toxic programming that have prevented just that alone, where a lot of us cannot or unable to make choices freely. So when we show the example of shining our own light, being our own universe, having the courage and the ability and the level of consciousness that's needed to not only ask the right questions, but make the choices needed, and where, how we apply ourselves, where it belongs, then that's where it really matters. That's where it ultimately counts. If I were to answer that question, really to me, where I'm at is just to prove that we are infinite. We belong to, the ultimate level of what the source would mean. The source of all energy, the source of all creation. We come from that. We belong to that. That is our home, and we still carry that within us. And they want that asleep within us. So it's like a dormant gene. It's a dormant light code. It's something very ancient and very special that's unique to every one of us. So it's our choice to wake that up, and then we can be that shining example from there on. But yeah, man, it's your life. Make it special. We all matter. We are not insignificant.
These rulers have successfully suppressed that in the majority. That really sucks.
But it's important to not fix or lean on that. Yes, it's good to be aware of that. We have to be judgmental of that, but that's not the point. The point is you. The point is for what you do from here, not to worry or concern yourself about them. The ultimate magnitude of what matters, what counts, is what you do. That's where it matters. And then if enough of us do it, then it makes something much more. It puts things on a much more grander scale of us making the script, creating the script, bringing balance basically. But yeah, I'll just kind of want to say hello to everyone and welcome you, sir. And and just appreciate you, Brian. Like, these spaces are awesome. Conspiracy, Kenbo, appreciate the space. Much love, everyone.
That's what's up, man. That's why we're here. Yeah, I can't believe conspiracy dipped, man. That was actually a pretty decent conversation.
It sounded like he was just repeating the Google page one AI bat stuff if you just like Google everything and then just saying to you as if it was fact without knowing anything beyond the surface level. But maybe that was better than the other Globers. Maybe you had other Globers before him, or was he like top Glober for the night?
Oh man, we had a couple. One guy, he changed his PFP, man, but I can't remember what his name was before. But yeah, he was annoying.
So being a satellite guy, it occurs to me often, do we have a model for where all these signals are coming from? You know, I got a Starlink Mini on my truck, and it works really well. I'm not on it right now, but yeah, do we have any clue where these signals might be coming from? You know, they bolted to the dome or what?
Well,
they definitely have craft moving at really fast velocities. Like how they stay up there, you know, by what mechanism? Couldn't tell you. Oops, sorry, did my mic cut out? My thing refreshed.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, mechanism wise, you know, unsure at this time, but in terms of like how they use the coordinate system and use corrections to the speed of light to maintain it, it would be impossible as a end user to determine, you know, anything really.
What's very interesting to me that for years we were on geosynchronous lock telecommunication satellites. Now we're on low Earth orbit satellites. Totally different. That's pretty interesting to me. Two different mechanisms at work there for sure, right?
Well, I just dug up this quote actually from that we used to quote all the time from this dude, this astronomer Gerard Dubois with something PhD. He says again, for the record, it has been shown at least 6 different ways this century alone that the equations in physics used by NASA to launch satellites are identical to the equations derived from a geocentric universe. Thus, if space was proof of anything, it proves geocentricity and disproves heliocentrism. The evidence for heliocentrism is even weaker than the evidence for evolution. So hey. But that's what we say all the time, is that the equations are using for real geocentric forces,
an explanation of the Michelson-Galen
forces, stuff like that only act as if the Earth is stationary and the universe is rotating around it. And they make use of those equations specifically to keep them up there. And they do so through like basically 2 different coordinate systems, ECEI and ECEF. And they sync one of them to sidereal and solar time, so they eliminate the east-west propagation difference in the speed of light when traveling, which is the velocity component, which is how they get around, c not being constant, but c equaling plus or minus v. And then they do the equations and apply the SAGNAT corrections in the ECEF range to get away with that ever mattering. And then they apply the range measurement equation to get precise measurements and locations. Did I get anything wrong,
Alan? Let's see here. The ECI and ECEF to remove the timing difference and then describe satellite for like inertial forces versus. Yeah, I think you nailed it.
Well, we got a guy down here. We got a guy down here, kind of laughing and stuff. Oh man, I don't know if I can say that name. Inik or something? I don't know.
Dennis is my name.
Dennis.
This is Cyril. Yes, this is Cyril, but it's Dennis. Serbian name, old Serbian name. I just want to say that each country deserves the president, how the people it is in the country. And now America have the Trump and deserve this because a lot of people think the Earth is flat and Greenland is America. And I understand this. This is normal. I have Slobodan Milosevic because I come from Serbia.
What shape you
and Slobodan Milosevic think like Donald Trump today. Slobodan
What shape you think the Earth is? Hello?
Okay. What is wrong?
Sorry? What shape do you think the Earth is?
The around. I like it. Everything. I like it. What is around. Like a ball. I like it. This oval, flat, oval room in this Washington City. They have oval room, and everything about oval. When you see the woman, she is not a flat. She's oval. She's a little bit around. Yes, everything about what is oval. I like it. I don't like it flat.
That's the best globe argument we've ever heard, bro.
Okay, thank you, man. Thank you, man. I like it oval. What it's a little bit.
You think it's around?
Yes, the Earth is like a woman. When you see the woman, when she has something oval, I like it. Really, when you can make it something not flat.
You think if it keeps spinning, it'll be disc shaped, maybe, since it's already oval shaped?
Think about this. I just want to say that what kind of people in this time living in America, you deserve this kind of president.
Well,
I am so sorry about you. Yes, I am so sorry about you, but this is what you deserve.
Well, thank you.
I can also can.
It's what we all deserve.
You deserve
it. We all deserve it.
Exactly. I'm sorry. You're right.
We don't even know.
Thank you.
We don't even know who your president is, so at least you know who ours is.
Okay, but this about Earth is flat, I don't agree.
You don't agree? Why not?
I like it oval.
You like it
oval?
No,
He likes
Yeah,
the
I
oval,
disagree,
bro.
dude. I disagree. We'll agree to disagree. Yeah, that's a good argument.
Love me some egg-shaped Earth.
All right. Well, let's
You're entitled, I guess, to
let's
disagree.
see if
I got to dip, guys. Thanks a bunch. I'll see y'all another day.
I appreciate
Later,
it.
man.
So we got another guy.
Surrender. Okay, surrender. Okay.
Okay, hold on a second. We got you.
Who said that Earth is flat?
It is flat, but let's put that on hold for right now. Let's check out who do we got here? Dustin. What's with these names, man? Where are you from?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah.
Man,
Sorry, I just
were you the brother of this other guy or something?
no.
Assalamu
Just,
alaikum, brother.
like I just saw I'm from Kosovo. He's a Serbian, but I saw the
fucking
Dennis.
Serbians. I hate those bastards.
So no, I'm not Serbian. I'm from Kosovo. So I just saw Dennis. Like, I just want to take I'm gonna be quick. Yeah, sorry. So I just want to take this opportunity to say hi, and I'm so honored to be in the same space with Dennis. He's like very famous scientist from Serbia. So hello, Dennis, and I'm gonna go quick. So it was nice to meet you and to see you here in this space, and I hope you're gonna follow me and maybe we want to talk a little bit about the flat Earth.
Did we make a love connection?
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah,
did.
of
Right.
course.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
So, are you familiar with the topic at hand?
Yeah. And I agree with Dennis. Yeah, maybe he explained a little bit plastic, but yeah, I agree with him. I like oval as well. Yeah,
he made a great
I love
argument.
oval.
You think it's a woman, huh?
Yeah. No, I think it's oval
You think it's oval. Why do you think it's oval?
because woman has an oval. Yeah.
His logic is hard to argue with, bro. I'm just saying. Man's got a point.
Big square.
What are you gonna do?
No, it's oval, man. Trust me, I know.
You know.
You ever been with a woman?
The room in Washington is oval. This president.
Yeah, everything is oval. Yeah.
This guy's a famous actor.
All right, I couldn't take it anymore.
There's obviously trolls. Yeah.
The Bobbsey twins over there.
Hey, this is Sasquatch. I just wanted to say hi. I haven't been in this space, I guess the space is new now because you just got a new one. So
shout out to me.
Shout out to you. And shout out to Alan and Shane. At some point, Alan, give me a call. I might want to see if you can do that channel back to me if it's all right with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just send me a message on Telegram and we'll get that sorted out.
Sure. And by the way, so I'll tell a small story. I went to my daughter had asked me the same question. It's like, well, why would they do it? Why? And I gave her the most straightforward answer I can think of that was short. And I said, well, to hide God. And then she went off on me. She's saying, you're saying I don't know God. And I said, I didn't say that. You asked me why they would do it. And I said, to hide God. And she turned my words around on me and said, you're accusing me of not knowing God. And I said, no, that's not what I said. Anyway, you got to tread lightly sometimes when people in their core beliefs, because they do not want to accept any kind of excuse for why they would do it.
Well said. It's a trick question, right? Because there's no real answer you could even give other than what you think it is. And obviously a big conclusion that we've kind of all come to is that it's an easy way to disconnect you from the beauty of creation and then make it seem, about materialistic things and weird narratives where everything came from nothing, which is, philosophically and intellectually bankrupt as a position. But in order to get you to presumably accept that position, they have to present it all to you like this.
Man, they got us more than on just this stuff. I mean, they're talking about pareidolia and all this stuff. To get rid of the fact that we had Titans roaming this realm here, and the mountains are actually Titans, and the fact that they told us wind freaking smoothed out not trees, but mountains flat topped and stuff, instead of just saying, hey, you know what? It's all a gaslight, man. It's if you don't even know where you live and what you're actually living in, how do you know yourself? I mean, they told us we're an insignificant piece of dust on a blue marble in a galaxy tucked away that God forgot about, but somehow became the freaking, the junkyard of the universe, and everybody came here and built pyramids and shit, but whatever.
I will make one other comment, and that is that I think that, I think you probably get some big agreement here, is that the flat Earth is the biggest PSYOP conspiracy in the world. Every single government participates in it. They participate in it today. So when the masses really realize the real truth of where they're at, it's a house of cards. It's all going to fall, regardless, of all the things going on about, chemtrails and all the other things. It's the flat Earth that's going to kill everything, and if it ever makes it to the masses conscious.
I agree. I mean, it's our baseline. It's what they taught us in little school. I mean, seriously. I didn't find out till a couple of years ago they were chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour, and I mean, they had time to change the books. They had time. I mean, seriously, they had over 80 years. They could have changed the books.
I think it's the current open secret, that or nukes are fake. I don't know which,
Dude, what is that? 66,600 miles per hour. It comes out to 30 kilometers.
66 degree tilt.
They've never found that 30 kilometers a second. The whole thing hinges on that. That's why Mickelson and Morley were so confident. They were like, no, we're definitely going to super duper measure it. We're going to run interferometers both ways. We're gonna get super long arms. We're gonna get super sensitive. It's gonna be to the 1/10 billionth. We're gonna definitely get that Earth's orbital motion that we know is there. And then nothing, right? They got 5 to 6 kilometers, but they could only measure the rate at which the sky moved. They could not measure the super ridiculous rate at which the Earth whips around the sun. So to maintain that belief, Einstein came along and was like, actually, look, it totally does whip around the sun at that insane speed, but you'll never be able to measure it in any optical way from Earth because relativity, mathematics, and reference frames. So actually, the device you use to measure it towards the motion, the arm will directly contract the amount you're measuring so that it will cancel out and that you'll never truly be able to measure it. And this was heralded as mathematical genius and not religious zealotry for some reason. And then if you disagree with this, you weren't allowed to speak. And then everyone who got degrees were people who agree with this. And that's how we got here, I think, pretty much.
So have you guys all seen the like the little track where they got something that's frozen, super cold, and they spin it around and just it hovers and goes over the track?
Oh, quantum locking, yeah.
The quantum locking. Do you think satellites work like that? I mean, it is super cold up there. So
that would be the story.
Could be magnetic tethering.
Yeah, I mean, is that a technology that we're just not thinking out of the box that's how they do it with like small
I
craft?
think that's that might be how the sun works. Maybe the sun and the moon work that way.
I don't think that we disagree with their speeds up there on their objects up there, or their Alan and I don't for GPS and satellites and things. I don't think we disagree. I think they could technically be up there, but as to what's happening, I don't know. Man, they have patents for electrostatic tethering and stuff, and we can speculate wildly. But
yeah, the only difference is they just wouldn't be as high as they say they are, and they could just use timing corrections to make it appear as if they are at that altitude.
Vertical,
and you wouldn't know.
out.
Yeah.
I love the
their orbital altitude is like the same as Earth's circumference or something. So it's like it's literally just it's one transformation away.
Yep.
Sorry, what were you saying, Sash? And what's up, Beast?
The aircraft that are up there with pictures, and they show how big the picture is, and then they compare that to the size of what the ISIS is supposed to be. And if the ISIS is supposed to be so much further away, that how is it that you can even see it? When you can't even see an airplane, which would be close to the same size, like a football field, and but yet you can. It has to be closer. So
save, man. You got an airplane that's like at 6 miles, and it looks like a little tiny thing there, and you got the same size thing, 254 miles. That's like a speck of dust, and it's going 17,000 miles an hour, like Mach 22. And you're just gonna, I got a telescope, I can pick that up. Shut up, get out of here,
dude. Someone's camera took a picture of the sun and the moon or whatever. He's like, my P1000 can focus simultaneously something that's 300,000 miles away and something that's 93 million. How do you like them frames? I was like, huh, I never heard it put quite like that before.
Dude,
that makes a lot of sense, right?
That's pretty wild right there. Yeah, it's autofocus it.
They're like looking at autofocus 93 million, and now it's 300,000. You see that? Like far and near.
That's a good patent right there. That guy's making money. Yeah, some wild stuff out there. And no one ever even thought about this stuff. And then one day somebody said, hey, you know what? That rocket hit the firmament. I was like, what the fuck did you just say? Now my life. Now look what I did.
That was the video that got
Speaking of rockets hitting a firmament, we have the debate date settled. Astronomy Live and I, we're going to debate on February 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern on the celestial theodolite and the use of it.
Nice. I predict he's going to listen to all your arguments and refute it directly without insulting anything. That's my prediction.
I bet you he was going to bring up the star that he discovered like 26 times. What's the over?
Now, how many times did he figure out the distance to the sun?
Well, according to him,
one of those guys. Yeah.
He says he found a star.
Nice.
You can move me down to listen. Is there a button for that?
Sasquatch. I was thinking maybe it's a good sign because wait till your daughter hears. I mean, I don't know if she's heard any of the fallacies that they push. Like even if she believes in the globe, she's gonna like, what did he just say? She's gonna pick up on some of that. So I maybe it's a good thing. That she's questioning. I don't know.
Yeah, I continue to send her stuff in love. I'm not trying to tell her she don't know God, but in love, I just try to show her, what do you think about this? But she just pretty much has resigned herself to thinking that I'm senile.
We all are, right? Yeah, I hear you.
Well, it's easier for her, so she wins or whatever.
It's early yet. So.
All right, I'm going to drop down. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to leave. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you later.
Well, thanks for stopping by, man.
Yo, what up?
What's up, Beast?
What's up, lad?
Nothing. I just got home. Oh, where are all the Globers at, dude?
Alan and I showed
like-
up and they scampered away like little cockroaches. Or that one did anyway.
I like how Brian's like, tag your Glober friend. That's funny.
Tag a global friend, man. Retweet the space. They're out there.
Dude, I've been experimenting with
Global
like Facebook globe cards, and like it almost makes me appreciate Twitter globers. So I'll take like bottom of the barrel.
Oh
Globers
God,
tonight. Like,
yeah.
anyone who's
Facebook
around
is
with a pulse, if you want to come talk, we'll be nicer or whatever. Because I have a new appreciation.
so nice. Dude, it's crazy. Where do they go? You know what I mean? Like, do they have their own debate stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where do they go? No idea.
No, they hang out in our comments and in the shadows. Like they'll be telling everyone how dumb we are on the peripheral while addressing nothing. That's typically where they go.
I guess it depends what kind of Glober are they. Like we were all Globers once, you know. So
That's a good point.
it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe.
You think they're all just like waiting on to see if like Starship is actually a thing? You know?
Well, yeah, they just start calling them starships from rocket ships without missing a beat. You know, like that.
You know what's funny is they were supposed to launch this Artemis 2 on February 8th, and they delayed it a month.
Yep. I literally had a bet with this guy Nasha Show in EA. I was just like, so if they delay it, we get to call you Leaky Valve, right? Because that's what you just said. You just said that it's probably going to be like a Leaky Valve or whatever, why they delay it. He's like, yeah. So if you see him in Discord, just call him Leaky Valve.
If I had somebody to bet, I would have.
And isn't this like delayed from a year ago when it was supposed to go or something like that?
Yeah.
Isn't this that super young Glober kid? Is that who we got?
Yo, what up, Shalom Shire Farms?
Oh, we got Hellcat in here. We got who we got in here? Shalom Shire Farms.
Yep. What's up, boys, ladies?
What's up? How you doing, man?
Really good. Really good. Enjoying the show.
Well, I appreciate it. So I gotta ask, man. What shape you think the Earth is?
Me?
You?
Yeah, it's flat, bro.
All right.
It's flat.
Flat's not a shape.
Flat's not a shape.
I know.
Noob.
That's true.
Just kidding.
Hit red.
Gotcha.
I'm kidding. I love you, Shalom.
Oh, thanks, man. I love you too, Beastie.
This guy, right, Shalom, don't let him fool you. He's straight man's man, but his setup is crazy. Talk about like rig setup and stuff, whatever. He's just like, I'm just a humble, good old nerd.
Somebody's hitting a bomb.
Did you say you were gonna play some guitar strings for us tonight? Strum up the old strum up the old wind instrument?
It may or may not be doing that. Hitting the bog, not playing an
The
instrument.
old acoustic vibrational harmonized frequency generator?
Yep.
What happened to our lad autopilot or F-16 lad?
Our boy autopilot.
Dude, I think we lost him, man. What happened to Hellcat?
I don't know. I was so distraught. I made up a nickname.
I'm just gonna ask him if he considered his escape velocity thing again.
I don't know. He seems to make the dumbest arguments, but I was like, if I guess I was 16, I would make the same arguments or whatever. I didn't know anything when I was 16. I guess the kid does fairly well. Like, he's way more involved than I was at his age.
I mean, he says he's a scuba diver too.
Nice.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Still working on his driver's license though.
Would you say he's a deep diver into research?
Well, not into research.
Ah.
But the funny thing is that we had another guy come in and tell us a story what we had to explain to him why he was out on a boat 5 or 6 miles and he couldn't see the shoreline. You know, I told him it's probably because you're on a reflective surface looking back and there's some refraction going on, and pull out some binoculars, you probably can see it. And then he didn't hear me, so he said he had to add a caveat to it. And then he said he was also a scuba diver. And then he told me that he went out 5 or 6 miles. And I was like, what point did the scuba have to this story?
Dude, can we talk about that for a second? Just think about it logically for a second, right? If we're on a sphere, if we're on a ball, you're looking at the horizon, all right? I would expect to see more clear, like I would see more clear sky near the horizon, because if it's curving away from you, that means you're gonna have less atmos the farther away you're looking. You see what I'm saying? But it makes way more sense that we have like the marine layer and the amount of like convergence and compression, because it's mostly planar, because you have more shit in between you and the extent of of how far you could see. But if it was like on a sphere, you would see more. I'm just saying, like, I assume. I don't know. I don't get that. You see what I'm saying, Shane? Or no? I'm crazy.
I mean, I know there's like a mathematical equivalence of how far you should be able to see both the geometric horizon and on a flat plane from a 6-foot observer height on the surface of both models. I know that. I know the sphere comes out to like 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, geometrically using Pythagorean theorem and dropping out the observer height and all that stuff to get down to the radius. And I know that if you do the equivalent using like Rayleigh's criterion and some basic stuff and principles in the aperture of a human eye and the distance you look at when you squint, then it comes out to, if you're standing on the flat plane at 6 foot, then you would actually only be able to see about 3 miles gazing into the horizon. It's like a geometric equivalence, I think. Optically, like it would look the same. And then I think if you map it out, like when they say, 8 inches per mile squared isn't correct, it is up to at least 100 miles. That's the, parabolic approximation of the spherical formula. If you compare it to the spherical formula and to say a linear formula of angular resolution and things disappearing based on observer height into the horizon bottom up, based on how high the observer height is, I think that there's an equivalence there as well. So you wouldn't be able to differentiate on the surface up to 100 miles for any observations from something disappearing bottom up linearly, spherically, or the parabolic approximation of spherically. Those would all look identical. And I think that's a big part of how they got the model to work today.
So you wouldn't be able to tell, and I'm just retarded for thinking that.
And long story short, cake or whatever.
Dude, they were like, only this formula works. Earth's the globe. Go fuck yourself. That's pretty much what they did to everyone. Except they didn't. I never told you about the other two equivalences and how the linear could be approximated. And they totally ignore perspective. They don't. They pretend that perspective is orthographic only. That nothing would ever disappear from the bottom because humans are superhumans, can see infinitely. Light's just particles bouncing off of everything, can go infinitely. There's no distance to which you won't be able to see a light BB, assuming that there's nothing for it to go through. Like all those presuppositions are built in when they call you retarded for not accepting it.
Wild. Yeah, I mean, that video. Well, who's that guy? Life Too Short. Life is Too Short, or something like that.
Yeah, love that guy.
Showed bottom up obstruction, literally across a lake, where so it can occur. Like you can have bottom up obstruction with without a geometric curve that's blocking something. Like there's multiple variables that can cause bottom up obstruction. It's not just limited to just ball curve. So when now what? It's like what else then? What do you have?
Well, nothing, dude. The thing I like about that is that you're like, okay, if it is an optical effect of perspective based on observer height, what I should be able to do is reverse the situation in a controlled hallway of the observer height, and I should be able to recreate top-down obstruction. And that's exactly what you can do, because if the effect is caused by unequal angles compressing unequally, meaning the closer the observer is to the bottom limit than the top, in this case the horizon, then that angle will compress faster and equally till they get bottom-up obstruction and you get visual loss of information at the unequal rate compared to the top. And anything on the surface, the top limit is the sky, and the sky is however high you want to say it is or whatever, and you're much closer to the ground, so it's always going to be that unequal compression rate. I think that's a thing that they never tell you, but is immediately evidence if you do it in a hallway. And the guy who Life is Short did a whole bunch of empirically specified measurements of moving the observer, in this case a camera, up to the top of the hallway and then retreating until things would disappear top down. And he also pointed out you can do the same thing when you approach a really tall building, like in New York City, of like 100 stories. The closer you get to the building, the top floor disappears first. Or in this case, you're recreating top-down obstruction by saying that actually what you're seeing on the surface is an Earth curve. It's perspective-induced bottom-up obstruction. And look, we can inverse and replicate it. I think that's a really good example.
Yeah.
I love that
Essentially, looking at a skyscraper, right? The closer you start walking towards the entrance of the skyscraper while still looking up, the actual tallest part of the skyscraper is going to start compressing and disappearing before the shortest part, like near you, like towards the bottom floor, in a sense, right? Like the top floors start disappearing before the floors closest to you.
The highest floors disappear before anything else, and they go that way. So the closer you get, you lose the highest floors, and then you lose all the floors. But eventually, you lose all the floors, but they start at the top, so it's recreating the effect inversely.
Inversely, right?
Which did the building become curved in the opposite rate to produce that effect? Because Life is Short, before doing that garbage disappearing over a lake thing, he did a bottle on his street, and he did the same effect, and they were like, nuh-uh. And then they saw it, and they were like, well, that street's curved. They're like, what? Well, yeah, like obviously the street's curved at the exact rate of the Earth. We say the Earth is curved to make that observation possible. It was like, what? Okay. And then he went to do it over a lake, and I haven't heard them say that because he gave the exact measurements of the lake, and obviously the lake isn't curved. That's their argument. But yeah, he recreated something on the far shore disappearing from the bottom up as he literally raised his camera and lowered it, and as he lowered it down, it disappeared into the what's called the diffraction limit or whatever, where things become unresolvable. And the reason why it's Rayleigh's criterion is that's the distance between things will become indistinguishable or become merged. And what's becoming merged is the point, the angles with which you're compressing on the bottom of your limit is converging with the far distant angles, and that's how you're losing information. So it is Rayleigh's criterion. It is angular resolution, and it does have a limit, right? Because you can't see forever. It's so crazy that they assume you can.
I'll be the Glober and I'll just come in and say that was all a bunch of religious rhetoric, perspective, whatever.
Yeah, I missed it. Yeah.
Nice word salad, Shane. Now explain the 24-hour sun.
Yeah, but dude, nighttime and sunset, so shut up, Flurf.
Fuck, dude, that's annoying. By the way, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I think even making a claim to the entirety of the Earth in itself is also kind of, we shouldn't do that. I get it's like a talking point, it is rhetoric, and it is to spark a conversation between people to understand, like, we've been lied to about the nature of reality. We've been given a worldview that, it was given to us. I get all that, but in, like, the objective truth, though, is that, like, you can't make a claim to the entirety of Earth by only measuring a small part of it, right?
You can if you're Eratosthenes or geodetic surveyors.
Yeah, but see, it's all it's all calculations after, like, only a small part, like what the French did.
Well, for now, maybe call the rest of it Terra, and we're in a realm called Earth, I suppose.
I mean, I don't really claim any actual size of the Earth either. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we could debunk the radius. I mean, enter the celestial field light.
Honestly, I think way bigger than they tell us.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, in terms of making a claim to the entirety of it. You know what I mean? I like what my friend Ethergress said, but he said Earth is Earth-shaped. Brilliant. This thing is brilliant. Then again, that's just like logic, bro, stuff. So we don't have to get into that.
Dude, listen, a guy figured it out 2,000 years ago with sticks in the sun. What's your excuse, retard?
I have a 600 credit score. That's my excuse.
Some bald guy with 2 sticks and a friend in 800 kilometers away without knowing exact distance figured it out. How come you can't?
My bad, I was hitting this. All right. Let me show you this, though, Shane. You might like. I'm actually going to send it to you in Discord. I'll see if I can purple pill it or whatever. I fucking hate Twitter. All right.
I put a bunch of stuff up there from the stuff I was talking about before from the math and the equivalence. I think I put it up there. I don't think I can see it, but I think it's there.
The light rays aren't parallel.
Got this guy in the timeline here. It's under Brock's post here. It says, give me a follow. Me, Brian. He crushes science wannabes and libtards daily. Which I thought was pretty funny.
That's a very good comment.
What?
That's a very good comment.
I like it. I like it. And then they got this guy in here says, not the good ones who actually challenge him. I'm like, okay. Then he says he gets real quiet real fast. So I sent him a link to the space. So hopefully he'll be coming in. He's going to shut me up, guys. So
he's going to crush you with his logic and intellect.
We're always expecting a Glober to be able to do that. We don't immediately expect him to throw ad homs and deflect and start using fallacies. We do hope for the one person who like makes a well-reasoned argument. Dude, you remember that time I saw one and I showed it to you? that one well-reasoned.
I'd like to see that.
Go on, I'm listening.
Go on.
It was real, dude. It was like, dude, someone watched like one of my videos. I went through geodetic surveying and the geodetic data on WGS84 application of abstract coordinate systems, spherical ellipsoid models. And he was like, it can tell us nothing independently, correct? But when you wrap it around a known WGS84 datum with some known physical locations on Earth and I use it to pair for geocentric eclipse data, then I can actually predict the path of the shadow using the perpendicular plane to get it right. And I was like, well, that is a pretty good, well-reasoned, non-fallacious argument. And I just want to thank you, sir, for participating. Like, I was blown away. I was like, whoa. I mean, you didn't call me a retard. You didn't say it was stupid. You didn't say you spent a bunch of time calling it a bunch of horse shit without actually looking into it. Looks like you listened
that
to
is
a lot of the
impressive.
information.
That is impressive.
I was like, that's a well-reasoned Globe argument. Now, there are arguments against it, but like that's like the best argument I've ever seen a Glober make that like wasn't religious. I was like, God, other Globers, why can't you be like this guy? Like, why can't you work out stuff, do some research, come back and ask a really coherent question that makes me go, wow, well, can't wait to answer that one, like.
Doesn't happen very often.
No, it was that one time, and I showed it to Alan. That's why I was like, dude, do you remember that one time where I did see someone make an argument?
I did remember it after you started saying it. Yeah, that's pretty awesome with that guy.
I was so impressed. I showed all my friends. I was like, guys, look at this one guy who made this argument that like, I'm not going to crush it yet. I'm going to leave it alone because I think I want to respect him for a little bit.
You feel like it's beautiful.
I want to encourage this behavior in other Globers, so I don't want to, not entice other people to do what he did. So I'm going to let it stand or whatever.
That's a well thought out and reasonable defense.
Yeah.
Like, overruled.
Because the whole argument was abstract spherical, it can be used either way. And he eventually was like, okay, that makes sense. But when he tied with these other two models, literally he was like, yeah, but when you put the terrestrial and celestial spheres together, it has real world predictive capability. And I was like, touche. That is the argument. Like it took me a long time to get there, and it took me a longer time to argue that to other flat earthers. So I'm glad that you as an opponent pieced all that together and from there made a leap with which is another argument. Like, well done. Well done. Anyway, it can be done, I guess, is the hope.
We don't have any globies down there at all? Come on up. It's a safe space.
Oh, I found something from early January about a new NASA program utilizing balloons. The official in the video admits, he says, well, they've been using satellites since the 80s, is what he cops to. So it was interesting.
Dude, conspiracy smasher dropped from here to insult us from the timeline. I should have known. He went right to the comments to call us retarded.
No, he didn't resort to that.
That's preferable.
Did he go on the timeline and start calling us retards? Man, I'm disappointed,
are.
conspiracy. That's weak.
Was he the guy who lost his shit and became like an emotional ex-girlfriend at Witsit one day when he was being made fun of or being refuted logically? He was like,
You'd have to narrow it down, bro. You just described so many people that it's
like they've all played the woman scorned routine.
I get so angry at him. Like personally, if they can just take Witsit down, all the rest of Flat Earth will fall away. That was how it felt. Like if we could just get him.
Man, I loved it. And I was there too, man. It was like he came in and the dude was thirsty, man. He's like, I'm gonna go get it. And like somebody asked him a question, and Peter started asking him about the interferometer, or he brought up interferometer. He's like, what's an interferometer? So Peter learned what an interferometer was. That's the way I learned what it was, and I was like, I gotta check out the principle. What the hell is that? So like, I gotta go get a drink of water. So I asked somebody else, asked him a question. It was funny. I was like, get the man some water.
The Copernican principle is super important, man. As soon as you understand that they're framing philosophy that they choose as science unto you, like what they chose through their philosophical framework has now been presented as science and real and verifiable fact to you. So you quote it as if it's science, but really it's someone else's philosophy. That's where you've been at with the Copernican principle. Like, hey, we're not going to tell anyone, but anything that suggests we are at the center or hold a special place of, we're just going to ignore that and go against it for purely philosophical reasons. Ignoring all
we'll call it evil
and whatever. Yeah, like,
we'll call it evil.
We'll
call it the axis of evil.
But that's what we'll do. Yeah.
Evil. Don't touch it.
I think it's funny they named that like axis of evil, huh? That's a weird name.
Now imagine it's evil to think that you're at the center and point of creation, that things will move around you just as they appear and look and measure.
It shows a lack of modesty to think that you're at the center of creation.
I just don't want to be in the center.
Dude, it's true. They're kind of socially shaming you to not feel special. That's true. I haven't really thought about that.
It's a very immodest position to have.
How dare you? Like, dude, like what? How rude is it for you to think that you're special?
Creation of God in his in his house, in his creation. How dare you? You should be humble and think you're an insignificant speck of dust.
Yeah, dude, a hapless collection of molecules that just happened together. They're a giant cosmic fart where everything became nothing all at once for no reason, caused by no one.
And we know that because we got a telescope. They looked up in the sky and said, Big Bang. Yeah, totally happened.
Well, again, that Copernican principle thing, right? It's like, well, we know that we're not at the center and everything's revolving around us, even though it looks precisely that way. So, you know what must have happened? It's back then, everything exploded all at once, and everywhere you go, it looks like you're at the center because everything is constantly expanding outward at the same rate. Think about it on a balloon. If it expands, then you won't be.
And you're a little bug.
like okay.
It's like, can you even back up that principle in any logical way that actually makes sense? Because guess what? We're not bugs, and you can't put a bug on a balloon and say, how'd that feel? Did it feel like you were like there or what?
The whole model is a series of sophist tricks where they just tried to argue is like whatever they possibly could to get away from it to get to the point where they are today, where it's just a patchwork.
Speaking of sophistry and tricks, can we go over radio telescopes for a second? I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the fact that anyone can make one with, very simple tools, and you're pointing to a relatively the same location, right, to the geostationary satellite that's in the middle of the that's at the equator.
And you do moving ones too.
And the moving ones as well, dude. I need to wrap my mind around that. I still can't. Something I struggle with. I get the idea of, yeah, we don't have the raw data. I get that. I'm still trying to, let's just say we weren't moving 100%. We know this for a fact. Let's just say, yes, we know that we can have geostationary satellites. How is it just in the same exact spot that high up in the sky? I don't get that. I can't rationalize it in my mind. This is just
you know about SOFIA, the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy? They can pretty much put it wherever they want. Now that you mention it, I never even thought about that. I'll find post. I posted on it a few times.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You mean they can put it wherever they
It's an airliner. It's a airliner sized ship. I mean plane. It's retrofitted with a sliding door, and the radio telescope is pointed out the door. Yeah, it's interesting.
But that would be moving though.
Right, but I'm sure they can adjust for say if they circle and point at one spot. I'm just spitballing there, but yeah, actually they figured out, well, wait a second, why is the data coming from the Hubble match Sophia, or the other way around, or whatever it was? And it turns out the original Hubble, there was none in inventory. And so, yeah, that was a whole big scam. Remember they launched
wait.
another.
Are you talking about Sophia?
Yeah.
Like the guy, Robert Bassano, the guy who he basically called NASA and just straight up talked to the guy who was supposed to be in charge of like the data.
Yeah, it was one of those guys. I vaguely remember that the irony of it was a NASA employee, but I don't know. I forget.
It was the head of the Sophia project. It was the Robert Bassano video you're talking about.
It was Robert Bassano. Okay, all right. I thought I heard that before. Okay, yeah, but what do you think, Alan? You know what I'm talking about though? About
We launched
the
a whole other mission to fix it. Remember, they had to fix the lens because it was only balanced for weightlessness. Oh my god, it's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have no idea. That's why I said earlier, like causal mechanism wise, couldn't tell you. It's like one of the best kept secrets you could, we can only speculate at this point.
Okay, cool. Awesome. We're in the same boat. All right, cool. That makes me feel a little better, actually. I'm like, I can't wrap my mind around it because objectively you can get a signal. Objectively speaking, it is in the same spot. And then
Well, dude, not only a signal, you can do the one where there's this one video that I really like, and this is what really turned me on to it. That they're like that there is something there, like how far it is. Well, it's a debate, but like anyway, this dude makes a thing like you were saying out of like an antenna and just like some straight DS gear, and you can see the satellite go across the screen in the whatever he was like projecting it on. So.
I still have pictures. I'm just gonna post those. I can't find this post.
Right, no, and I get that, Alan. That where I just can't wrap my mind around is the geostationary one with a dynamic ether. It's like, does that mean there's a new I think we were talking about this just.
Oh, you should ask Bennett about that because he thinks that how does he explain it? It's like basically as you go in altitude, yeah, there's like a switch or something, like it goes in the opposite direction, he thinks. I forget why, but he's got like a whole thing for it. So he thinks that it's like in between that zone where it would be neutral. But I don't really know anything about that.
Bro, I just pictured it in my head. That actually helped a lot. Okay, so you know how like you have like escalators up and down?
Sure.
Right? And you know how, you're dumbass, you're just a kid, you're trying to like stay on both of them and it's like spinning you.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Like that. Something like that. Where it's like a neutral zone where it's being dragged proportionally each way. But you know what that means though, right? That means you can't take it down.
Yeah, I think the geosynchronous ones, like they do like a small circular orbit or whatever, like a small figure 8 or something.
Yeah, not those ones. Those are geosynchronous. I'm talking about geostationary.
Oh, there's actual geostationary ones.
Yeah. Where
so
in their paradigm, they literally say that the reason why it doesn't move is because it matches Earth's rotational speed exactly. 50 degrees per hour.
Yeah, if you just match the ether speed in the opposite direction, you would go nowhere. Your velocity would be 0. So.
Yeah, something to chew on. We should investigate that. I don't know.
So, well, the thing is if it was like dependent on like literal flow of ether, like we're not going to be able to get to the bottom of it. That would be like the most guarded, protected secrets of how they actually work. We would never know for sure. But yeah, if there was like a fluid medium up there, if your velocity was exactly its velocity in the opposite direction, you would be stationary.
I'm down to get Aaron Schwartz. You down?
Down to go on a beast dive tonight. Let's go. What's up, Galatrax? I see you out there in the streets.
Yeah,
No. Everyone figured out. LeBron James, the debate's here, so I guess everyone figured out that all so-called globes, so-called proofs are affirming the consequent. That's why there's no one up here debating. No globe friends.
Man, conspiracy smashers all in the timeline now. Just play like, dude, you were in here.
I told you.
He's all like, just saying, kinematics isn't an answer. You need an independent reference frame. I'm like, bro, you only have the fucking Earth. That's all you got.
He did the thing that we say all people do when they confronted with the other thing. The truth. Well, it doesn't matter. It's a reference frame.
He's fighting a mediocre fight. I posted a picture of
Three
Sophia.
Stooges the other night. I was debating 3 people, and they didn't know the difference between modus ponens, which if you guys don't know, it's if P then Q, P therefore Q, and deferring the consequent, which is if P then Q, Q therefore P. They didn't realize that every globe proof, every globe argument is affirming the consequence. You start with the premise that it's a globe, and you go about to your premise 2, which is, premise 1, if globe, premise 2, thing, And then you go thing, therefore globe. And they're like, yeah, it's globe proof. That's affirming the consequent. That's all globe proofs. So if any globe friends are in the audience and they think they have a globe argument, I challenge you. I say it's affirming the consequent. All of them. Every single one.
I say it's using the unproven thing in an argument for the unproven thing. Oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, everything
usually goes assert thing. It's like evidence proof thing. Like, there you go. There you go. Look, see that thing that proves the unrelated thing. What's a good example for like what's the Easter say? Like, if I get mail tomorrow or whatever, my prediction is Spider-Man delivers my mail. But if I get mail tomorrow, then I'm gonna know that it's because Spider-Man put it there.
Yeah, if it's raining, the streets are wet. The streets are wet, therefore it must have rained. When a drunk driver could have hit a fire hydrant in the middle of the night and he just didn't know about it.
Yeah, or neighbor Joe could have been washing his car and it ran off. Yeah, it's not proof. So if any globe friends are listening, hop on, give me your best argument. The LeBron of debates is waiting.
Come on up, man.
I do want to hear like a non-fallacious argument at all. That would be terrific because 93%
Impossible.
of everything that I've ever heard a Glober say has been fallacious by nature and by default.
There's no such thing. They tried it. They tried it by reversing it. So instead of saying if globe then thing then globe, they said if globe then thing because of globe thing. But that's the same thing as globe then thing. They just changed the wording. It's not, that doesn't put the P back where the P needs to be. There are no
Yeah,
globe
see,
arguments that aren't affirming the consequent.
they're all good with saying stuff like the so-called scientific method.
But they don't use it at all.
Shane, what was that? I read it. It was like a Facebook post. You said it was like one of the best arguments you've heard in a long time. I read it too, but I can't remember where it was.
Yeah, I put it in cat chat, dude, or whatever, because I remember I said it to Alan when I first discovered it, and I was like, dude, I think I put it in our main chat. I was like, you want to hear a well-reasoned globe argument? And everyone like laughed and LOL'd, and I was like, oh no, I'm serious. Like, here, everyone read this post or whatever. Yeah, we brought it up earlier. I went through it. It was some dude who like went through my geodetic datum video, conceded like every point that I made, and then at the end was like, but if I combine that with real-world distances and WGS84 as a datum that equates those terrestrial positions and a geographic reticule to the celestial equivalent using reticence, like it was like, but then I have real-world capability for predicting eclipses using the geocentric coordinates of the ecliptic plane and then the XY position for positive and negative to predict the up and down path of the shadow on pretty much on the graticule. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but like that was his argument, and I was like, you know what? Like, well done. That's that's like, you didn't call me a retard. You didn't make any nonsense claims. You didn't start with a bullshit premise. You didn't affirm.
It's a pretty good rebuttal. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to encourage other Glovers to do that same thing, so I didn't even like provide a rebuttal. I was just like, that's a well-reasoned position to take. Like, well done.
I'm trying to find it.
Guys, I have a question. Sort of question. Did anybody see the movie, or do you remember the movie Patriot Games with Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan? Remember the guy tells him, Jack, do you realize what a big deal it is to retest the satellites? He's like, because you saw a woman, or he's like, I wasn't looking for a woman because she saw the redhead sunning herself from the satellite in the desert. That's actually true, because to change it, you can change the satellite. You have to like deflate the balloon till it gets into the winds that are going in the direction you want it to, or inflate another one. It's got to be equipped with spare balloons, etc. So that's a bit of truth. But I mean, they don't mention that part in the movie. In the movie, they're floating in space like we think they are, But that's how they change course. How they able to. I mean, it's the only way that I'm aware of. So yeah, it's crazy. They can stay over one spot. I guess that's easier than shifting it. God knows where.
I don't know, man. I do know that geospatial intelligence is a huge industry, and that they definitely want to have surveillance on us at all times, at all possible, if at all possible, right? The panopticon kind of mentality that was developed by like Bertrand Russell and like the futurists of like the,
Dude, we gotta
the
protect the
30s.
kids by not letting them look at porn. So actually, everyone needs a digital ID to access the internet. That's for the children's safety, not so we can control everyone. Trust me, bro.
Well, somebody said that. Remember the 6 foot thing? The 6 feet or so. The side facing satellites could, learn your walk or whatever. How your gait, how you step.
Oh, that's not satellites, dude. That's just the gyroscope on your phone.
And every camera.
That too. Yeah.
That's been a thing. There's literally an international symposium on gait technology. I'm not even kidding. And like, if anyone has an iPhone, they can see that it's on by default right now. Doesn't matter if you have Health app or not, or an Apple Watch or not. If you have an iPhone right now, you can look at it. You just go to Settings, Apps, Health, Data Access and Devices, and then you'll see your devices, right? You'll be shocked about, whoa, why does it show like 3 here or 4? Well, It has every single iPhone you've ever had connected to that iCloud. You click on that, and then you see like a list of variables, like walking asymmetry, height, like step height. And then you think to yourself, you click on it, and you see that they're taking these measurements like every 10 seconds or something. And you think, you're like,
Realize
how the fuck does this benefit me? Like a list of variables being benefited by seeing these measurements. Like, this is not for me. All that shit is just for machine learning. All of
Well, aren't they all like giving you an MRI every 10 minutes or 10 seconds or whatever, something like that?
Yeah, with the infrared, but I'm talking about literally just from your phone in your pocket, a specific, like it's so precise that, every single person has their own exact unique way that they walk. That's your gait, right? So you can be identified from miles away. No need for face ID, no eye, no palm reader. It doesn't matter if you have like password. None of that matters. Like if you only use paper, blah blah blah. None of that matters. You can be identified by your unique way that you walk. Like people don't understand. Like anonymity is gone. It's been gone. So you have to poison the data.
It's a
Adversarial
Monty
AI
Python skit.
patterns.
Yeah, it's a Monty Python skit. The University of Silly Walks. Remember that?
Yeah, tape your iPhone to your washer and like put all your clothes on on one side of it or some shit. You know what I mean? Just like adversarial AI patterns. That'd be kind of funny though. Imagine taking down an entire large language model because you tape your iPhone to the side of a washer and just put uneven amounts of clothes there. Sorry, I'm just spitballing. Dang it, LeBron, you scared him again, bro. You asked him to get into a court. Like, who would play, a game of 21 with you? No one.
There's no Globers that want to take on the King, whatever you said, the LeBron thing.
Dude, I heard there was somebody here earlier that wanted to debate Stone.
Yeah, what happened with that?
Wow.
I was remembering that too. Who was that? Anybody remember?
He probably came to their senses.
Because like we could maybe get him here if that was like if you want to do like a in the ring sort of thing or whatever.
Trembling in fear. That's where they're at, and there's no such thing as a Glober. In order to be a so-called Glober, you would have to have an argument for the globe that is not affirming the consequent, which is formally fallacious.
Pre-dunked before you even stepped into the court.
You guys were just talking about like surveillance state. Did you guys see the Super Bowl commercial with the Ring doorbells?
Yeah.
They're using that to locate a dog.
Yeah, that's what they want it for. They're worried about
They're
the
using
dogs.
it. Yeah, we're gonna find your dog, but in essence, no, they're watching everybody. And then
not
people got
see
those Ring doorbells inside of their homes. They got them all around the exterior of their homes.
Yeah.
You got Alexa as well. I've seen things where Alexa will record your conversations and like send it out to your family members, whoever you have in your contacts. I've also seen the little vacuum cleaner has a camera on it because it actually has sensors and cameras in order to see what to pick up on your floor. It's exposed people in their underwear or completely naked while it's doing the cleaning. It's insane. Surveillance is all over America.
Here, I got something.
Yeah,
How do you do this purple pill thing again?
We only talk about one conspiracy, but there are several concurrent ways that they're suppressing and subjugating all of us right now.
I wonder who's doing that.
Here, I got you. I found this Substack about this like entire explanation on like the Masonic origins of the Super Bowl.
It's all ritual. All their performances, they're all rituals. Concerts, they're all rituals.
Who watches the Super Bowl? Who's like, listen, I just need to get
150 million people.
I meant like people here. I know a lot of people watch the Super Bowl.
That's a lot of people though, bro. That's crazy.
Those people are dedicated. I've seen people recently that were I forgot what game it was, but they're sitting out there in the snow, sitting there with a blanket covering them and just snow piling on top of them or rain.
Imagine being
It's like
so
insane.
taken with the bread and circuses that's meant to keep you distracted while they enslave and brutalize you that you end up choosing and rooting for the team of your own distraction. That's so crazy. I guess no crazier than trying to vote yourself out of tyranny by choosing each of the left distraction parties controlled by the same people that you're not allowed to talk about.
Nah, dude. How about that pigskin though? Did you see that guy throw that pigskin?
You want to go sit in some snow, pay $375 for the privilege, and then spend $12 on beer and watch these guys better than me do a thing that I can't do?
Dude, I was seeing they were asking people how much. I hope it was a fake video. They were saying they're like paying $12,000 to $15,000 for a ticket. Oh, I bought 4 of them. Fuck you. Really? For a football game? You can watch that on TV for free.
People love it. It's crazy.
Hey, this one though, in terms of the symbol, I'm like rereading the Substack again. It's actually kind of interesting because it relates to the 60 degrees, right, in a circle. Check this out. It says Super Bowl 60 carries a Roman numeral designation, and it's the use of Roman numerals in itself is a Masonic gesture. The fraternity has always marked its cornerstones, its lodge charters, and its sacred documents with Roman numerals. Connecting the craft to the Roman collegia, the ancient guilds of builders from whom Masonry claims descent. Every Super Bowl numeral is a Masonic cornerstone inscription, making the year the right. The number 60 has its own esoteric weight. It is the base of the Babylonian sexagesimal system, the same system that gave us 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 360 degrees in a circle. The Babylonians, inheritors of Sumerian mathematics, were the civilization most deeply associated with Baal worship and astral religion. 60 was their foundational number, the number in which they built their understanding of cosmic time. Super Bowl 60 is numerologically a return to the Babylonian root, the completion of one full circle of the sexagesimal base. The matchup itself resonates. The New England Patriots carry the symbolism of the founding republic, the Masonic Republic, built by brothers Washington, Franklin, and Hancock. The Seattle Seahawks carry the imagery of the eagle, which is Masonic and fermented by cosmic
without the
spiritual ascension, higher self, and double-headed symbol.
what you're saying, and none of them can like actually debate you. That's the reason that it's important to do it. Of course, at the same time, what we're doing is we are progressing. Our arguments are getting significantly more strong. We're removing any types of fallacies, and we're learning more about what you're.
I'm sorry, I lost track so long ago, dude. What are you doing?
I'm just reading this like little Substack I posted in the thing or whatever. And then you had this guy for the halftime show, Bad Bunny, right? And it's called The New Religion. Like that was so weird. I don't know. But 150 million people watch that, right? So they're concentrating their energy into it.
Dude, I don't even think 150 million. They showed screenshots or whatever of the stadium, and the people in the stadium were barely watching it. They're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Pretty exciting though, because I saw there was these guys in the field, and one guy, he had a ball, and he threw it, and another check it out. He threw it, and another guy caught it, and boy, did he run with that ball. And guess what? It turns out that there's two teams. One of them wins, and the other one loses.
Wait, how do you know that?
Good time, right there, boy. That's good time.
Sports ball.
Sports ball.
They're throwing the pigskin. Come on, Cletus.
Bread and circuses, and they'll never revolt, right? Keep them happy, entertained, beer, give them beer, virtual reality. You'll own nothing and be happy or whatever. Just a cheer for your own enslavement. Love it. You get them to police themselves, socially engineer correction, so that they don't have to do anything, and then they just petition and police their own enslavement. It's great.
Yeah. You try catching a ball and running.
Where'd LeBron
Dude, right? Man, they got everybody fucking convinced on authority too. Oh, these guys are the smart guys. You got to
Wait, real quick. You guys remember that time when they were playing with the pigskin and that guy kicked a field goal through the net or whatever, and he proved representation?
And they were like, "Oh, you know why that went over? Because the Earth spun just at the right time in the right direction and pushed it over the crest of that yellow bar just enough." And then people called that retarded, and they had to walk it back, and they were like, "Okay, you caught us. It works for both."
It was the deflection of the pigskin.
They got to put a spin on it, dude. It's called Coriolis skills.
So the kicker's out there, and he's all like, "Dude, you know what? I can do this with some Coriolis, man. I got this." Kicker was out there calculating it. I seen him.
The laces were in.
Making fun of Neil deGrasse Tyson is quite racist.
It is racist. That's true. that is who said it, wasn't it? Neil deGrasse. I think that was the point when all the Globers simultaneously disowned Neil deGrasse Tyson as the spokesperson for globularity. I think there was a general uproar and disagreement with him as representative because we kept framing him and being like, "Yeah, Globers, what do you say to this retarded shit?" And they were like, "Listen, I don't really want to defend what that guy is saying." We were like, "No, you have to. It's your guy."
Go throw him under the bus real quick and be like, "He's just a science communicator. He doesn't know."
Because now they're
like, buddy, he went to university and studied the galactic bulge. He apparently knows something.
Dude, he said that the sun and the moon are pulling the water away from the Earth, and we're just spinning in the water. There's a bulge.
Oh man, that tidal bulge nonsense hula hoop is the funniest thing ever. It's so funny,
dude.
Science correspondence is a rough gig, guys. Go easy.
Show me tides, Flurper. You can't. Done. Like
Sunsets.
Oh, you guys believe in solar and lunar tides simultaneously pulling and creating tidal bulges that the Earth spins in hula hoops through, creating a bulge of water at the equator based on the equatorial circumference and distributed radially? No, that's crazy. It doesn't actually exist. It only exists in what they call equilibrium tidal theory, based on Newton's ignoring all sorts of constants like topography, the supposedly weather, any sort of motion. It assumes that all the ocean and the water on Earth uniformly responds to gravity at the same rate. And under all those assumptions, then sure, yeah, in a uniform rotating sphere, you would get a centrifugal bulge, but that only exists within that ridiculous theory. When they actually go to predict things, they use what's called, I think, the dynamic tidal theory, which is way different than equilibrium. Uses actual things like topography, anthropometric points, tidal amplitude control, the actual prediction with tidal amplitude and tidal harmonics using the sinusoidal pattern of the diurnal sun and the moon, right? So that's how they actually predict it with real world things, topography based on the pattern of the sun and the moon. And then they're like, nah, but it's because of gravity. It's like, no, not even in your own model. None of that shit's real. What Neil deGrasse Tyson told you was a fantasy based on a theory that isn't even what they used to predict tides in the first place. Tidal bulge theory is hilarious.
I stopped listening when you said tidal hula hooping. I had to picture that in my mind. It's quite hilarious.
It's stupid.
Ponds get a whole pass. Yeah.
That is the explanation that he said, right? Because if you believe in all that nonsense I just said, then the Earth hula hoops through the bulge, and that's why you get solar. It's out of bullshit.
I mean, what happens when the sun and the moon are in like the same spot in the sky, man? I mean, that's got to screw some shit up.
Well, what they argue mathematically is that the gravitational field produced by each overlaps in a constructively interfering way, and in such they get to do this like vector addition way of gravitational constructive interference, and they add the moon's gravity to the sun's mass, and then they get the actual centrifugal force to balance out. That's how they do it. But really, what's happening is it's the moon phase, right? The moon phase has changed. It's called the I forget what it's called, but it's where the lunar periodicity, which describes the phase, and it literally goes the further away from the sun, the darker, the brighter the brighter the moon gets, and the closer it gets to the sun, the darker it gets, right? So new moon is when it's real close to the sun, and that's what's actually causing the highest side. It's usually neap side, and then the opposing would be neap and spring sides are caused by the phases of the moon.
Every Super Bowl numeral is a Masonic cornerstone inscription, making the year of the right. The number 60 has its own esoteric weight. It is the base of the Babylonian sexagesimal system, the same system that gave us 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 360 degrees in a circle. The Babylonians, inheritors of Sumerian mathematics, were the civilization most deeply associated with Baal worship and astral religion. 60 was their foundational number, the number on which they built their understanding of cosmic time. Super Bowl 60 is numerologically a return to the Babylonian root, the completion of one full circle of the sexagesimal base. The matchup itself resonates. The New England Patriots carry the symbolism of the founding republic, the Masonic Republic, built by brothers Washington, Franklin, and Hancock. The Seattle Seahawks carry the imagery of the eagle, which in Masonic and Hermetic
Okay, without the
spiritual ascension, higher self, and the double-headed eagle.
what you're saying, and none of them can like actually debate you.
Patriot and the eagle
That's
is
the
not
reason
merely
that
a
it's
football
important
game,
to do
it's
it, of course.
symbolic and
At the same
active
time, what we're doing is we are progressing. Our arguments are getting significantly more strong. We're getting, we're removing any types of fallacies, and we're learning more about what you're.
I'm sorry, I lost track so long ago, dude. What are you doing?
I'm just reading this like a little Substack I posted in the thing or whatever. And then you had this guy for the halftime show, Bad Bunny, right? And it's called The New Religion. Like that was so weird. I don't know. But 150 million people watch that, right? So they're
I
basically
don't believe
concentrating
that.
their energy into it.
Dude, I don't even think 150 million. They showed screenshots or whatever of the stadium, and the people in the stadium were barely watching it. They're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Pretty exciting though, because I saw there was these guys in the field, and one guy, he had a ball, and he threw it, and another check it out though.
Glad.
He threw it, and another guy caught it, and man, did he run with that ball?
My guy
and
or
guess
your
what?
guy?
It turns out that there's two teams. One of them wins, and the other one loses.
Wait, how do you know that?
Good times,
Throw
right
that
there,
sport
boy. That's
ball.
good times.
Sports ball.
Sports ball.
They're throwing the pigskin. Come on, Cletus is watch.
Bread and circuses, and they'll never revolt, right? Keep them happy, entertained, beer, give them beer. Virtual reality, you'll own nothing and be happy or whatever. Just a cheer for your own enslavement. Love it. You get them to police themselves, socially engineer correction so that, they don't have to do anything. And then they just petition and police their own enslavement. It's great.
Yeah. You try catching a ball and running.
Yo, where'd LeBron go?
Dude, right? Man, they got everybody fucking convinced on authority too. Oh, these guys are the smart guys. You got to believe.
Wait. Real quick, do you guys remember that time when they were playing with the pigskin, and that guy kicked a field goal through the net or whatever, and he proved
Coriolis.
representation?
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, you know why that
Coriolis.
went over? Because the Earth spun just at the right time in the right direction, and it pushed it over, like over the crest of that yellow bar just enough." And then people called that retarded, and they had to walk it back, and they were like, "Okay, you caught us. It works for bowling,
It
but not
was
for
the
football."
deflection
So
of the
whatever.
pigskin.
They got to put a spin on it, dude. It's called Coriolis skills.
Bro,
So
I
the
forgot
kicker's
that
out
was
there,
real.
and he's all like, "Dude, you know what? I can do this with some Coriolis, man. I got this." Kicker was out there calculating it. I seen him.
The laces were in.
Making fun of Neil deGrasse Tyson is quite racist.
It is. It is racist. That's true. That is who said it, wasn't it? Neil deGrasse. I think that was the point when all the Globers simultaneously disowned Neil deGrasse Tyson as the spokesperson for globularity. I think there was a general uproar and disagreement with him as representative because we kept framing him and being like, "Yeah, Globers, what do you say to this retarded shit?" And they were like, "Listen, I don't really want to defend what that guy is saying." We were like, "No, you have to. It's your guy."
They'll throw him under the bus real quick and be like,
Yeah.
he's just a science communicator. He doesn't know.
Because now their
Like, buddy,
argument is
buddy, he went to university and studied the galactic bulge. He apparently knows something.
Dude, he said that the sun and the moon are pulling the water away from the earth and we're just spinning in the water. There's a bulge.
Oh man, that tidal bulge nonsense hula hoop is the funniest thing ever. That's so funny,
dude.
Science correspondence is a rough gig, guys. Go easy.
Show me tides, Flurper. You can't. Done. Like
Sunsets.
Oh, you guys believe in solar and lunar tides simultaneously pulling and creating tidal bulges that the Earth spins in hula hoops through, creating a bolt of water at the equator based on the equatorial circumference and distributed radially? No, that's crazy. It doesn't actually exist. It only exists in what they call equilibrium tidal theory, based on Newton's ignoring all sorts of constants like topography, the spin of the Earth, supposedly weather, any sort of motion. It assumes that all the ocean and the water on Earth uniformly responds to gravity at the same rate. And under all those assumptions, then sure, yeah, in a uniform rotating sphere, you would get a centrifugal bulge, but that only exists within that ridiculous theory. When they actually go to predict things, they use what's called, I think, the dynamic tidal theory, which is way different than equilibrium. Uses actual things like topography, amphidromic points, tidal amplitude control, the actual prediction with tidal amplitude and tidal harmonics using the sinusoidal pattern of the diurnal sun and the moon, right? So that's how they actually predict it with real world things, topography based on the pattern of the sun and the moon. And then they're like, nah, but it's because of gravity. It's like, no, not even in your own model. None of that shit's real. And Neil deGrasse Tyson told you was a fantasy based on a theory that isn't even what they used to predict tides in the first place. Tidal bulge theory is hilarious.
I stopped listening when you said tidal hula hooping. I had to picture that in my mind. It's quite hilarious.
It's stupid. I can't believe anybody said that.
Yeah.
That is the explanation that he said, right? Because if you believe in all that nonsense I just said, then the Earth hula hoops through the bulge, and that's why you get solar tidal bulges.
I mean, what happens when the sun and the moon are in like the same spot in the sky, man? I mean, that's got to screw some shit up.
Well, what they argue mathematically is that the gravitational field produced by each overlaps in a constructively interfering way, and in such they get to do this like vector addition way of gravitational constructive interference, and they add the moon's gravity to the sun's mass, and then they get the actual centrifugal force to balance out. That's how they do it. But really, what's happening is it's the moon phase, right? The moon phase has changed. It's called the I forget what it's called, but it's one of the lunar periodicity, which describes the phase, and it literally goes the further away from the sun, the darker, the brighter the brighter the moon gets, and the closer it gets to the sun, the darker it gets, right? So new moon is when it's real close to the sun, and that's what's actually causing the highest tide. It's usually neap tide, and then the opposing would be spring. Neap and spring tides are caused by the phases of the moon. So they argue it's because the sun and the moon, the gravitational is so strong because they're together. But the other thing that happens when the sun and the moon are together in a geocentric world is that the moon phases, and the complete phase shift is actually what coincides perfectly with highest high and lowest low. Neat, right? They're like, that's a much more interesting explanation. Like, what is the phases of the moon and why is it causing the highest tide is a better question than like, well, we know it's because of gravity and the moon's near the sun. Like, we got it all figured out. Don't worry. Oh yeah.
Gravity.
We got some math, dude. When we use our math, we can equate the forces so that when the sun's super far away, it actually exerts a different tidal lunar acceleration based on the gravity in the distance. Because they say that the moon exerts 2.3 tidal acceleration greater than the sun, even though it's more distant and farther away. And that's how they get away with solar and lunar tides and that equatorial bulge that we went over.
Yeah, I want to say I paid attention to that, but you just caused my brain to have a tidal bulge.
That's all right. I like the hula hooping story because it's like it's as far as most Glovers' knowledge goes. Is like they saw Neil deGrasse Tyson demonstrate it with a hula hoop once, so that's what they're gonna argue with their chest and confidence to you. And you're like, oh, gee, golly whiz, I didn't think to Google the thing I was gonna argue against publicly. Like you got me. Like I didn't think that first page. Like, oh man, you got me again.
No globies down there at all? Come on.
I don't know. To be fair, if you were listening to us, would you come up here and say something with your chest that you thought you knew or whatever? I mean, not that I don't want to encourage that.
I mean, sometimes it is funny, but you know,
I see a Glober down there. There's Bredimus. That guy's a Glober.
Bredimus.
Send Bredimus and Mike and see if he'll come up here and argue bulge and shit.
Glober Bredimus.
Globimus, they some call him in certain circles.
Bredimus.
I believe he's working.
Is he working?
Well, you can still
on a
socially
geostationary
shame
satellite. You better get your ass up here, Bredimus. Oh! Kidding.
Dude, I found I read it earlier. I found that quote from that guy who says that all geostationary satellites use equations based on geocentrism and disprove heliocentricity. It was a hard quote to track down. Dude, they like to scrub all the things that, like, everything about Michelson-Morley, everything about the Earth not moving. Any physicist ever that says anything about Michelson-Morley or the Earth not moving or relativity not being super duper correct, it's like shunned and discredited. And then that quote gets scrubbed. It's the craziest thing I've seen. Because there are quotes that I have that, like, now I'm like, oh, why can't I find that? Why can't I find that paper?
Hey, why you guys picking on me? Yo, what up, Brett?
Yo, there he is.
Yeah, I'm at work, dude. What do you want to talk about? Alright, we'll let it slide this time. Alright.
Sounds like he's under a faucet.
Dude, he's doing hardcore globe work. He's like holding the globe on his shoulders, dude. I'm in the tunnels. You hear that, Brian? That background noise is Big G. And it's
The Big G.
Dude,
he's moving at 30 kilometers a second, bro.
That's so funny. Didn't you know you can infer based on the density of the movement of two giant balls that may or may not have moved the density of a giant grain? You can infer the mass of the Earth based on that. Didn't you know that?
How much does my light bulb weigh or whatever?
Well, if you hang
Like
two
if I
strings
just tried to
by it,
measure its weight off of the light source, how many kilo newtons do you think I'd get?
Someone asked me how much power the sun was pumping out, and I told them 1.121 gigawatts.
That's one of my favorite units of measurement.
And he didn't get it. He didn't understand the reference.
People who don't know Back to the Future, they fucking suck.
I mean, come on, man. I was like, are you trying to tell me I'm old or something? Come on, man.
I'm trying to tell you is everything you say is wrong by default because you're a stupid flirt. That's what I think he's trying to tell you. I've come to accept that's the reality, dude. That's the only thing that explains the behavior.
Man, I don't get the anger. You're a liar.
Well,
You're a liar.
Dude, they came here to flex and like socially shame you and to call you stupid from the safety of the majority. And most of the time they get here and they get destroyed and rebutted and rebuked and calm and like scientifically well thought out answers. And they're like, fuck you.
Still didn't answer my question.
Like, you know, I get it. I get why they get angry. I wanted to get socially gratified. Why are you not letting me have this? Like, why can't you just be stupid? Shut up. Let me say my thing, and then you don't say anything, and then I can feel good about myself for like 12 seconds. Yeah, this is not that. So,
man, one guy was in here and so like he asked the same stupid. He said, "I got 5 things," and he asked one question, and he's like, he was stuck on that because he didn't like the answer, or he wouldn't even listen. I'm like, can you just still man what I said to you? You said something about refraction. Oh my god.
Yeah, going through the Michelson-Morley, I figured out that unless your answer is what Wikipedia says, in fact, you're lying. That's how it works. Actually, like they don't care about like well-reasoned math. Does it work? Is it accurate? Is it truth? Listen, does it say it on Google AI when I ask this question? And if it doesn't, then you're a liar,
Dude. That's how they sell relativity. They just say Michelson-Morley disproved the ether.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm watching Brian Greene trying to learn about this retarded shit called relativity, and the first thing he says out of his mouth is, "It's the basis is Michelson-Morley where they disprove the ether." I'm like, you suck.
That's what Wikipedia says. That's what Google AI says. That's like the most lied about experiment in all of history, for sure. And then the rest of science is based on discrediting the ether all the way to relativity until they get, particles and nonsense and everything doesn't matter. And no frame is special, but everything goes back to a rest frame and, all that shit.
And then he says he came up with the most important mathematical equation ever, the Lorentz transformation.
You mean the Einstein transform? Oh wait, no, you don't.
I'm like, so you're saying the most important part of your whole bullshit is that you get to shrink away the results? Give me a break.
That quote from I think Eddington is dire. It's so funny. It's such a good one because he's like so point blank about it, and it like when Winston talks about it, he embodies like the argument. Like you should just embody the argument, and he said something like, it's the best explanation that we invented on the spot was that the length of the observer arm contracted in just the way, like he explains, well, we use the Lorentz contraction to explain it. Obviously, that's what makes sense from Michelson-Morley, and it's saying it as a serious scientist, and like when he says it like that, it sounds retarded. So when you present that to a Glober who's like, this is your belief, they go, no, that's stupid. And I go, I know, I agree. That's retarded, but at the same time, that is what you believe and what you're supposed to argue right now.
I thought Wikipedia says that it disproved the ether and the orbital velocity. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, no, they frame it as they look for a relative velocity, and that because it's actually null, they got no measurement, then there is no ether. And that's wrong on like 2 counts. First of all, the basis of the name of the paper, the testing for the orbital velocity, what precepts were known contextually beforehand, both orbital velocity and ether were assumed hardcore, right? And then they say that they got a null result, which specifically ignores the measured motion of frames that they did interpret, which was the motion, which was consistently measured and which was in fact a big problem and the cause for all the scientific minds of the age to scramble and make all the quotes that we've been quoting all the last couple of days about how fretful it was and how to interpret the results of the Michelson-Morley and what they were going to do, how Einstein said he had to invent relativity to explain it, and that was it. Arthur Eddington, the guy being like, yeah, well, good thing that our explanation explains that the Lorentz contraction makes that arm contract just enough way where you would notice, or otherwise Michelson-Morley would have been a real problem. Like, okay, if that's the actual position though, and no Glober will argue that with their chest. I mean, I get it, right? Even when you say it out loud, it sounds silly.
I look forward to a day when they finally get to that point, and then we can hit them with Einstein's equations were actually just derived from an elastic medium from those field equations from Lorentz and Lamore. And there's not actually like a different theory. There's just the removal of the ether conceptually, so they can explain why Earth doesn't have an orbital velocity that's measurable.
Crazy.
Yeah, let's do a comparison to Doppler shifting.
And then he brings it back in 1915 with his GR.
Well, to be fair and give like the best possible steel man, right? When he brings it back, he also made clear to say that don't attribute any physical properties to it, because mechanistically it can't have any, because if it has any physical properties, then all motion immediately becomes relative to it, and then they would have to answer why they don't have the velocity component. So it's to never have any physical properties, and it's only to be thought of in terms of like a fluid medium for the conceptual use for you to understand like the bending and curving of the abstraction.
I want the medium, but I just don't want the medium.
Dude, for real. That's dead ass, dude. And then what's his name? Dirac. He had abandoned quantum mechanics and then was developing his own ether theory. And in his biography, he was writing how, don't worry, guys, this new ether theory that I'm coming up with isn't going to be one with physical properties either, because it has to be compatible with relativity. And it's like there's like a strict interpretation of like, if you even want to try and talk about ether, it can't be anything where motion would be relative to it. That's why they go so out of their way to like abstract vacuum fluctuations and 0-point energy and stuff, because a Newtonian vacuum predicts that none of that should exist.
They don't like that question. Compared to what?
Right. Relative to what? Relative to what?
Can I have all the properties of the ether without the ether, though? What if I have all the effects, properties, and effects of the thing? Can I remove the thing itself? Well, I guess you can. You just need Einstein.
Yeah.
Declare it.
Now it doesn't exist. Ether doesn't exist.
What are you saying? You're smarter than Einstein? No, I'm just saying that he wasn't that smart. That's all.
I think that the control thing is people are scared to say they're smarter than Einstein. I mean, you look at his goofy. I mean, he was a really smart dude. To be fair, to come up with what he did to
Dude,
be
how
able
about
to obfuscate.
how about every time that man tried to derive an equation, right? He goes, check this out. I have this new theory. The speed of light's independent of velocity, source or receiver. And then he goes on to derive the speed of light later in his paper, and he uses relative motion of moving clocks relative to stationary clocks, making it entirely dependent on motion. Whereas the speed of light can be derived from the material vacuum properties of the magnetic permeability and electric permittivity, which are, just 1 over the inverse of those two values will give you the speed of light.
Yep.
Okay. Which is like
mastered the art of gaslighting people.
The properties of the thing itself, and then prove the thing
He's that kind of smart.
Dude,
he's that kind of smart.
So he comes in hot, right, in 1905 with that, and then also he uses that relative motion to derive the Lorentz transformation to say that there's no ether, but again, he derived it from literally breaking it the postulate of light being independent of velocity, and then so anyway, his equations are bound and like defaulted to Lorentz's equations and Lamour's equations, which were derived from Voigt's equations, which were derived under the principles of an elastic medium using field equations for that. And like they used to start their paper like, it's well known that the oscillatory blah blah blah, here are the field equations, and then they would go on to describe like transformations of the wave front relative to the medium and how it would change for a moving observer, so like they all had the same framework, and then Einstein just reused that, right, with special relativity and said no ether, and said that the change isn't the waves relative to the observer, or the wavelength or frequency relative to the observer. It's the actual space and timing coordinates of reality that are changing. Like your physical length and time are different, which is insane. Like nobody thought that. That's preposterous. And then after that, for the general theory, there was the perihelion precession is like the great success of that, or like one of the first great successes of the theory. But 18 years before Einstein put his equations forward, a man named Paul Gerber used the same exact equations that he derived under an ether principle, where the velocity of a gravitational wave is dependent on the ether, so it sets it to the speed of light as well. So like literally the same identical equation again, was used by Einstein, and all he did was just change the story about the meaning of the equation, so that the speed of light is just linked to the speed of gravity for like no apparent causal mechanism, you know. And then and then when he was questioned on that, he just gaslit everyone. It was like, huh, Paul Gerber's just a high school teacher. What does he know? My theory is the greatest and thing since sliced bread. And he never actually showed how he derived it, but Paul Gerber did. And when challenged on it, he never independently derived it either. Like, it's all fraudulent DS, and it always comes back from an ether theory, allegedly.
Yep. You're removing the background itself, but I want to keep all the properties of the background. Actually, it used to be magnetic waves induce electric waves. Electric waves can induce magnetic waves only through the medium, but now they can do so perpetually with no medium for reasons. And actually, there's no ether, and we get the speed of light from properties of ether. It's the funniest, like, 180 they ever pulled, and all the math just covers it up, dude. The actual framework coming from an elastic ether is pretty funny when they're using Lorentz transform to explain the thing in the first place. Like, there's a quote from Witcher that's like, the guy invented special relativity to counter experiments that proved the Earth was motionless in space, which led him to general relativity, which forced him to accept a motionless Earth in the center of the universe as a viable cosmological system due to the equivalence, right? So, whoops. Like, right back to...
That's another good one. So in the general theory, he generalized all frames, in particular accelerating frames. So with that, like you were just saying, the geocentric position is mandatory to be accepted no matter what. And because otherwise there would be a preferred frame which would violate the theory, because he generalized all frames, not just the ones that are in uniform rectilinear motion, which just means they're moving at a constant velocity. But with the general theory, anything that is at a distance past Saturn, in their model, so I think that's about 660 or 800 something million miles. So anything out past 800 million miles would have to be moving faster than the speed of light to do, to complete the sidereal motion for it. So that violates their theory as well, because nothing could move faster than the speed of light without creating a black hole or turning into nothing or whatever. So, like, that's just like a little hidden nugget that's just like mandatory in their theory to believe in. It's like so contradictory.
What are you, smarter than Einstein? Sit down, dude.
Yeah.
I don't have to know anything about what you just said to know that you're wrong, because I know that Einstein is right, okay?
Dude, it would be so dope if I was wrong, and relativity would be so cool.
Listen, it predicts everything perfectly. I don't know what you're talking about. It can never be wrong. It's made every prediction better than anything ever. We still use it today. It's what keeps satellites in the sky, homie.
Frick. Yo, I see a hand up. What up, Protector?
Man, I was over here talking with my mic off and shit. It was gold too. What's up, Protector?
I was going to ask you guys if you knew what a gyroscopic lens was and what that does.
Gyroscopic lens. Never heard of it.
Oh, I'll post it down below. I actually just took a screenshot, or what it is defined as, but I've looked into that before. I'm going to post it down in the chat bubble. And then also I have a model of a gyroscopic atlas, or what some would say is like a globe, model of the Earth, with kind of like, the base, similar to the base that you see at your public schools. But it was different. It was developed, or it was designed a bit differently and created. They made these, I can't remember. It starts with an A, sort of gyroscopic.
Armillary sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a way to represent this conceptual model of the celestial sphere. It's observer-centric based.
Yeah. So I just I was going to provide that down below as well, if I could find the source to cite, and then put that into the chat bubble. And I thought that would have been interesting to speak about.
Yeah, awesome.
Apparently, all the old paintings and people had them, and it's just like a representation of the two-sphere model first put forth by Ptolemy, where you had to accept that Earth was a preconceived sphere, and around it you saw the conceptual sphere of all the stars as they moved around you, and you construct the bottom where you don't see any stars when they set, and you construct the circumference based on how long it takes for them to come around, and then boom, you connect those two models, you create points on the terrestrial for every point in the celestial, and you use it to navigate. And he represents that with, I think, an actual globe, but it has like, I think, gyroscopic wing. It looks like the Game of Thrones opener. If everyone's seen Game of Thrones, those rings upon rings that like spin and twirl. And that if you just picture that based around a globe, and then each one of those paths is actually a stellar path of one of the objects, sun, moon, a thing. They can use it to predict eclipses and stuff because they can get the actual arcs and antarcts and stuff. And it was like a 3D astrolabe, but they could do all sorts of cool stuff with it, I think. An armor sphere.
So are you saying this proves that we're a ball or something, or what shape you think the Earth is?
I think we're, to Shane's point, and I think it was kind of hinting out at this in other spaces as well. I think we're an Earth within an Earth. I don't know if that is what Shane was alluding towards, but I think that there are way more continents, way more forms of landmass, as I've spoken about in other spaces, beyond the first layer of the ice wall. I think there are lands beyond that first layer that are trapped between another ice wall, and then you have another layer of another ice wall, and in between that you have more continents or more formations of land. So I think we're only at stage one, and I think that this is multi-layered in that sense. And I've spoken about this before, maybe hinting out slightly at inner Earth, that there is the hollow Earth sort of theory to this, outside of the whole flat Earth side of or way of thinking with that model, or with that way of shaping, or to take on that artistic description, or the depiction, if you will. Thank you.
Yeah, look forward to the post. I don't see it yet on the thing. Let us know when you post it.
I will do.
Dude, I see D Thrice down there. What's up, D3?
You want to try and socially shame him to get up here and talk to us?
Absolutely. One of my favorite things to do is socially shame him into talking to us.
I do like to get.
And also Dave, I see Dave down there.
Got Mr.
Dave
X down there.
Dave wants to hop in. Zave. How's V down there? Isn't it like mandatory for him to come up?
Well, I think he might have fell asleep.
That's respectable, I guess. I fell asleep earlier today 6 times.
Yeah.
I kept trying my best to wake up.
Alan, what were you talking about a few weeks back in regards to the sun, how it maintains its observed elevation above the Earth? It's all perspective and stuff like that. Did you guys go more into that, or?
Was that the eclipse stuff with the celestial theodolite?
No, it's just in regards to the sun, how it maintains its apparent elevation above the Earth, how it doesn't drop. It doesn't actually drop. It just stays at a maintained altitude, or apparent one, observed one.
Yeah, that's definitely eclipse celestial theo. That's what that proved. I thought the
Was it?
Came from. Yeah, I thought so.
You guys came in here and mentioned it, but I don't know if you guys had like a something on Discord. I probably missed it.
Amazing did a presentation.
I can link you Lamazing's presentation on it.
That's what. Okay, yeah, definitely.
We found that the sun and the moon act the same way as the stars when put over a flat plane. Like, they look like they're in an Antarctic. The whole globe model is constructed based on the sky being an observable hemisphere. But that's just based on the limits of your perspective. Things appear to arc in Antarctic because they go too far away from you, for you to see them. Like, what this shows is that the stars and the sun exist actually in like a plane above us, and they just come and go completely laterally above you, and they don't ever actually change in elevation. All perspective-based elevation changes based on optics. That's what this would show.
Yeah, because I linked you guys that experiment, that demonstration that Flat Earth Netherlands did in their backyard. they had a leveled laser pointer, and they had a blackboard or some board that they moved. So as they moved the board, the dot that was on it from the laser pointer would appear to drop, even though the laser was remaining level.
Perspective hijacking. It should be a crime.
Oh yeah.
Man, we got some Aussies, some Globies down there too. Come on up, man.
You got D3 up here. I've seen his request, but holy shit, that's a lot of invites.
What's up?
I didn't say what's up, guys. My bad. How's everybody doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm getting by. Had another burst pipe in my house, so I'm still alive.
Dealing with some cold weather, are you?
Fuck yeah, man. Fucking hate it. This is the second time in 4 years. Same area, too.
Dude, I got 59 degrees right now. I just like
That's madness. Aren't you in Arizona?
I just like to let everybody know I'm in Arizona when they're freezing their asses off.
Government at play again.
But don't worry, I'll be in 180 degree heat here pretty soon.
Just go outside, throw an egg on the sidewalk, boom, there's your breakfast.
Pretty much.
TM, I haven't gotten thousands of notifications from angry Globers in a conversation that I didn't start. Have you been going easy on them lately, or like what's going on?
I've just been slacking. I haven't been online too much, but I'm getting back into it. I gotta get my spirits back. So pissing those globies off always seems to get me there. And you guys gotta join in here and there. It's fun.
These Globies, I get them mad real fast.
Actually, they were freaking out over a Hubble quote. Edwin Hubble.
Yeah.
I think he was what is it about the how Earth occupies a unique position in the universe. It was like from one of his books in the 1930s. Because where is it? Such a condition would imply that we occupy a unique position in the universe, analogous in a sense to the ancient conception of a central Earth. This hypothesis cannot be disproved, but it is unwelcome and would only be accepted as a last resort in order to save the phenomena. Therefore, we disregard this possibility. The unwelcome position of a favored location must be avoided at all costs. Such a favored position is intolerable. Therefore, in order to restore homogeneity, fucking hate that word, to escape the horror of a unique position must be compensated by spatial curvature. There seems to be no other escape. So he's telling the truth, but he's like, I don't accept this as my truth, therefore we have to accept something else in place of it. It's
I hate what I see.
Crazy.
Very candid. Very candid. That's such a good quote to use as a hostile witness.
Man, it sounds real scientific-y. I don't like what I see. I reject it. I do that with a lot of stuff.
I reject it on philosophical grounds. Like, oh yeah, dude, that's as much science as you can get, brother.
Yeah, nobody's ever more eloquently described digging in their heels than that.
I refuse to accept it, but as a last resort, so I'll try anything else.
Hey, but to his credit though, I read somewhere that at the end of all his lectures that he did since they made, Hubble redshift a canonized thing, he would always say that there's a chance that he was wrong about the interpretation or something like something to that effect. So if that's true, that's pretty cool.
It's like footnotes, page 989, way in the back. Nobody reads that part.
He's like at the end, he's just like, guys, I could be completely wrong. Nobody actually knows. Have a good night. Actually,
yeah.
dude, actually,
if you made
that's how I'm
If you made it to the end of the book, just kidding.
Just hey, this all could be bullshit. I don't know.
That's how I'm gonna end every stream now. Just I could be completely wrong, guys. Have a good night.
Oh man. We have to adhere to the you don't trust the science? The science doesn't trust the science. We are shrinking it, denying it.
And manipulating it.
We can be by a factor of 10 to the 120th.
Hey Brian, I sent you something. You might want to read it in the room. It's pretty good.
No, I don't see anything. Yeah, I don't see anything. You can read it.
Speak now or forever hold on to something or whatever.
Man, I tell you, this conspiracy smasher, he likes to stay in the timelines.
He was pretty well known for that during Flat Earth Fridays, if I'm not mistaken.
He's over here trying to say, you made the claim that Eratosthenes could work in a flat Earth. No, Eratosthenes said shadows on the ground says we're a ball. And I said, a shadow only proves the light's on.
Respect.
And he said, are you retracting that claim? I think I've always retracted it. I've always defended the claim that you can't tell the fucking Earth is a ball with a shadow. Hell, even Neil deGrasse Tyson said you need at least 3 spots.
Okay, Brian, I found it. I'll read it out. It went. I asked Croc. I go, is it true that the Michelson-Morley experiment failed to detect any orbital rotation or any motion at all? And I said, leave out the luminiferous ether. That's another topic. And it says, yes, Michelson-Morley experiment failed to detect any significant light travel times that would indicate Earth's orbital motion or rotation. The results showed null effect with fringe shifts far below expected, less than 0.02 versus the predicted 0.4. This has been confirmed in later tests.
And they picked up a fringe shift.
I think it was 0.6 they predicted, and they measured 0.4 because they had a like what it comes down to fringe wise is the square of the distance of the fringe in units of wavelength is proportional to the velocity that caused it. So they had a sensitivity. You can think of it like they had the ability to measure down to 2 kilometers a second, and they measured 4 to 6 kilometers a second. So they were like outside of their air tolerance, like for a solid measurement. They just didn't get the amount that they needed. They needed a larger fringe value.
Got old Charles Lane Poor of Columbia University says the Michelson-Morley experiment forms the basis of the relativity theory. Einstein calls it decisive. If it should develop there is a measurable ether drift, then the entire fabric of relativity theory would collapse like a house of cards. What are you shrinking away there, guys? Huh?
You know what I noticed too is like in terms of mainstream stuff, right? So they rounded off Michelson-Morley to a nullsky, right? and that's using an interferometer that has a specific configuration where the light makes a cross or an L shape to itself, so it only makes one right angle to itself. And so they said, okay, the right angle instrument, this one can't detect motion. But then they came up with a closed loop, which is, if you think about it, just adding another right angle so it makes a rectangle instead of, or a square or whatever shape it would be. To complete that circuit, you're just adding another 90 degrees to it. So they use this closed loop interferometer, and they measure fluctuations in the speed of light throughout the day. And when they plot those minimum and maximum speeds throughout the, those deviations from what they expect to be as a flat baseline against sidereal time, it makes a sine wave. So they take that as like, oh, okay, we can, we're going to correlate that to rotation because, that's the only thing that they could correlate it to. But that's how they're getting the measurement, right? So they're plotting, like, they're looking at it in terms of an angular deviation for degrees per hour rather than the old proportional velocity that you could still get out of the measurements. They only want to look at it as a rotation. Now, when they go into deriving what the theories predict and stuff to describe what they're going to measure there, when I looked into it for relativity theory, they said that there would be a fringe pattern produced, yada yada, because they're in a non-inertial frame. But the way that it works out is if you're the one that's in the non-inertial frame, like, so if the lab frame is rotating and you're in the lab frame, you wouldn't be able to see the speed of light timing difference. You would have to be at the center of Earth to see, and then, like, looking at an observer, chasing that speed of, it doesn't work in the way that that's consistent with what they measured on the ground. But nevertheless, they smuggled in a C plus or minus V for the prediction, and then they compare that to the classic ether theory where it's immobile and doesn't move. And the classic ether theory would predict that the light beam would be canceled out, like the velocity addition would be canceled out, because the stationary ether somehow would get trapped in the apparatus, and it would carry the light in the opposite direction of motion, exactly canceling it out. These are the things that they came up with to explain previous experiments where they got null results on first order measurements, and then so this is like their mind frame going into it. They never consider, like, it's very telling that they're never like, oh, this also would imply the Earth is stationary and that the ether is moving or something like that, because that would defy their whole Earth in motion principle. So it's just really, you can see how philosophically committed they are to interpreting these measurements, where they're like, well, they'll go as far as to say that in the frame that is non-inertial, where you wouldn't be able to tell because you're going to have to measure C as a constant in your frame, to saying that you would also measure C plus or minus V in that frame, and that the ether theory predicts no fringe. It's like, well, which ether theory, dude?
It seems like science is more like, let's try to hide the results that we get that prove us wrong.
Yeah, they're always playing hot potato with an interferometer.
It's like, just face it, man. We're not moving. You get all these results to say we're not orbiting the sun. You got to suck it up. You can't just say, oh, we're in relativity.
Do you think about the Ruyong Wong experiment? They've got this whole philosophy built on not being able to measure linear velocity. Ruyong Wong comes along, measures it down to nanometer precision, and they're like, yeah, that doesn't exist. Oh, we actually predict that it's relative motion, or that it's relative to the loop and all this stuff. But what they don't realize is, like, it's only he showed that it's only relative to the moving segment of the loop, and if it was relative to, like, the detector, you would have to use the full length of the loop. Otherwise it's not relative to that. And then on top of that, he did the two different crystal core and an air core, and found that, you know, the measurement is independent of the refractive index. In other words, there's no like Fresnel drag or any way to say that somehow somehow there's a air or crystal medium, you know, moving to drag it along. He just straight up measured it with nanometer precision.
Got some hands up going up here. What's up, Flats?
Not much. How you doing, Ken and TM, and the host with no name? How are the Ether Cause lads doing?
Yo, what's up, lad? We're doing fantastic tonight.
So I was thinking, just on me a couple weeks ago. Have you guys heard from the ambassadress, Eliana?
She's in Ether Cause all the time, man.
Okay, she's just not on X anymore.
Yeah, she's got a problem with her iPad and connecting with X. She tweets a lot, but she can't come in spaces anymore. It doesn't like connect properly or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's on Discord every now and then, especially on Tuesdays. If you want to stop in and talk to her.
Yeah, I'm an old dog. Discord is clunky for me.
No worries. Yeah, send her a DM on Twitter. She'll definitely get back to you.
Yeah. So, quick question. I and Christopher, I don't know if he's in here, observed last Friday, like between 11 o'clock and midnight, the moon was half lit, but it was the bottom half. Okay. And then like 6 o'clock in the morning, it had rotated 90 degrees clockwise, and the left half was lit. Is that something normal?
That is a Shane question and or cat question. That doesn't sound normal.
No, it's not. I thought I was going crazy. And
It's because it's arcing across your sky. So it does do like a flip from one side of your sky to the other. So if you're seeing it at rising versus setting, it may flip in their perspective. You have to remember how you're looking at it. So it shouldn't change per se, but your perspective of it will change as it arcs across your horizon. And I think that's due to your personal dome and like the arc that we see everything in.
okay, would it matter if I traveled 60 miles north?
If you're traveling, then yes, you're going to see it at a different angle. So it's going to appear differently. Like moving affects where you see the moon tremendously too, people say. So
Yeah, I know, walking my dog.
yeah, so if you've traveled and you're looking at it from one spot to another, and you also have to consider how it's looking across your sky from like set to rising. But it should still be the same. A lot of times you can consider where the sun is from it, and usually the lidded side of the moon should be pointed towards the sun.
Okay, it just threw me off. It was 90 degrees difference, like starkingly different.
Yeah, sometimes it'll sneak up on you too when you're not paying attention.
Yeah, I know, like walking my dog, like if I look down my cul-de-sac, I can see the moon in one spot, and I go down 2 houses and turn a little bit, like it should be right there, and you have to like almost turn all the way around to find it. Yeah, it looks funky when you're walking and looking at it. But I did some digging on what I observed, and like through Reddit and stuff, I saw some claims of people saying the same thing, and it was always the snow moon. Like it was always in the winter. It's weird. Sorry for killing your space, Brian. Or no name.
Man, what's up, Protector?
How's it going?
What you got?
Oh, I posted something down there. I posted another thing that we could talk about and reference, or I could refer to in regards to kind of providing information that the earth is, I don't think is just fully flat. Again, I come from the more of the hollow earth, erosion, inner earth kind of side of things. I don't look too far up into the planets and beyond that of the ground. I like to be more grounded, but I gave the definition, or I gave the description of, and I cited some sources actually with the screenshot that I took based off of volcanology.
You think we're in a hollow Earth?
I think that we're multi-layered. I think that we are in phase one. We're in Earth Center 1, and that there is another area beyond Earth Center 1, beyond that of the ice walls of the northern, western, and southern areas of the Earth where there are those ice walls that you guys tend to talk about that come out of the Bible, but God speaks about.
I think a lot of people agree there's extra land beyond the wall.
I just I look at land accumulation. I don't like to talk about, when people talk about the planets and the stars and all that. I'm not really into astrology or astronomy. Like I can grasp it, but again, I'll say this to kind of even more so, to be more stern with this point, that I tend to keep my feet and really look at things at a more literal, grounded level. I'm about the geology, erosion, earthquakes, volcanology, shifting, of, like the tectonic plates, that whole thing. And like I mentioned, the layering of not only ice walls, but looking at weathering and flooding and how it's left, the marks over time. So that's my whole kind of, I don't want to say expertise, but wheelhouse, so to speak. Thanks.
Well, I think we got some deep caves and stuff. I think it's Vietnam or something like that. Got a cave so deep it's like got its own ecosystem and stuff. But
I just watched a video on that. It was so awesome.
yeah, it's pretty badass. I don't think that makes it a hollow Earth, though.
You don't think that there could be ancient, or at one point in time, ancient civilizations that were living below the earth, and that?
Well, again, I think just because, and that's weird too, because it looks like ant colonies and stuff, and Anunnaki means ant friend. So what really went down, I don't know, but it still doesn't translate to a hollow Earth as much as subterranean life.
What about Admiral Byrd and his travels, or the one that went up to the northern pole, beyond that of the, some would say, an ice wall, and he's seeing the civilization within the ice, and they had all sorts of water and greenery that was discovered there, and he was told to never go back, or there was something in regards to, like, he took pictures and he was kind of told not to talk about it as much, to keep it hush hush. Yet we found out about it. I mean, I find that very, not only mysterious on our government's behalf, but
that would still be on like a flat Earth, because I think we all believe Admiral Byrd went in there and saw some stuff.
Right, but if it's below a certain level of the ice, to me, it's just like, well, if the ice is solidified enough and it's formed over time with that of the sediment of the rock, then there's formations in the rock, and that's to say that there's hollow Earth in a sense, even in that time frame when Admiral Byrd was alive. Is my perspective from my point of view.
Well, I wouldn't call that a hollow Earth again. I mean,
but that's still evidence of a civilization living below the surface level. We can't deny that.
Well, I
in
mean,
another region of,
I don't doubt that they had ancient civilizations that, but it's still just living in a subterranean lifestyle or whatever. It's not a hollow.
Dude, do you remember that war where they dug a bunch of tunnels and lived in the tunnels?
Vietnam?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. Dude, that was
I'm not opposed to Tunnel Earth, bro.
Yeah. I mean, they actually did that. They did it to a point where, they tried to flood these places and it was easily defeated. They couldn't throw grenades down there or do anything.
What are you guys' thoughts on Tartaria, if I may add my 2 cents on that or interject?
I don't think too much about it, but it's super interesting. There was definitely a previous civilization, but like what it was, how it works, and all that, who knows?
There's old maps that show all of Russia called Tartar. So There was a country called Barbaria, a country called Caucasia. There's maps that show like 7 different kingdoms in America. Crazy stuff. Yeah, we definitely had an ancient. We're definitely on the remains of an ancient civilization. We found everything, man. We found it. I don't find houses. I build houses, but we found all this stuff. I mean, they said they built the Lincoln Memorial, man, and then they said, oh wait, we just found 90 stories below the 90-story basement. Forgot about that. Oops.
Yeah, the architecture stuff is fascinating.
There's no blueprints. The logistics don't even come close to being able to build any of this stuff.
Old New York City. I would say that Tartary exists because if you look at old New York City, it's underneath the new New York City.
Man,
and
check this out, man. Check this out. The Empire State Building was built in like 1933 to 1934, 14 months. Yeah, they had 3,400 people on site every single day just doing some crazy dance, a symphony of just people just meshing together. Ting, 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 ting. Man, they built that sucker in 14 months in New York with all the wind and the rain and the winters and everything like that. Just boom, knocked it out. 14 months. Sears Tower, 21 months.
They were just built different back then, bro.
Dude, that's what they try to fucking say to us, man. You're just not like the old guys, man. They had a work ethic, man. We're just lazy. Fucking computers. Got us, man. Got us by the balls.
Look at the Chicago World's Fair of 1893. And then they tore that all down somehow, some way, or they wanted to get rid of the old world and that architecture. I think that was horrible, of course. It was atrocious. It was absolutely, it made the surrounding areas look not only atrocious, but horrendous. Of course, aesthetically for the people, but they should have left it. There are a lot of things that have been torn down for the sake of,
they just getting rid of it. They told us that an old lady's cow kicked over a lantern and burned. I was like, no one there was willing to we got to burn your house, Bob. Why?
Dude, you know how you know it's just complete BS? They narrowed it down to your girl who had a cow that kicked the lamp over.
O'Malley's.
Like, dude, there's no.
It had to be Irish.
No,
why is it got to be the
way.
Irish to do everything here? We fucking burned down Chicago. Fucking
yeah, there was like a brief period in history where like every major city that that exists now had a crazy fire that just destroyed everything in it.
Well, there was also the War of 1812, and I think I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but we might as well dive into that real quick because I keep my feet closer to the ground in my mind, kind of more grounded in this sense too, quite literally, like I was saying before. That I don't think that the War of 1812 was just because they wanted to burn down the White House at that time with the Canadians. I think there was another reason as to why that was happening. There was another agenda.
Yeah, I think it was a world war, man.
I think there was beyond that. I think there was some other hidden agenda that we have not discovered, that the Canadian government didn't also want to let out or get out, and they didn't want to let their soldiers know at that time. And so I think there's again, when we also look at the design of Washington, D.C., we look at the street levels from a top-down view, right? At certain elevation levels, so many feet up. You look at the Freemasonry, you look at the imagery, you look at the different people and how they're connected to one another. The French and Indian War, the Founding Fathers, and then you got Canada up there. I think it was more than just a war. There was something else that was going on within these lands and why they traversed down. I don't think it was just to destroy it. And I don't think that it was just in a matter of, well, we're having a revolution and we're going against you because we're part of the common, we're part of the crown. I think it's beyond that. But that's my thought process on it. I mean, people, if you want to believe just at face value that things are the way that they were, and that it's just because, with whatever you're fed, go right ahead. But I'm going to be a skeptic beyond leaving the skeptics.
Man, I don't believe diddly squat about our history. I used to be all America too, man. 1776, man. Hoorah, man. We saved the world twice. Nah, it's all bullshit.
You want to know something else that's weird? That's kind of messed up. There's a painting of George Washington in a forest climbing up a ladder, and in the background of that painting, I don't know if it's one of the I can't remember what building it's in, but it's depicted in the background of that painting. It looks to be a UFO. It actually glowing like an orb. I'm not kidding you. Go look it up.
That's hilarious. No, I believe you. I don't even have to look it up. That sounds like something they would do. It's
Dude,
hilarious.
I think I've seen that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff with UFOs and a lot of
Yo, I'm gonna head off for the night, lads.
Did you
You
know
guys
that?
have a good night. Thanks for holding it down.
Good times, fellas.
Well, thanks for showing up, man.
Yeah, dude, I had to come and see the return of the host with no name.
Dude, you know why I got booted?
Because the same 12 people follow you around and report you everywhere you go.
Well, yeah. Because
Like, oh, well, it's like when you say it like that, it takes the surprise out of it.
I mean, and ultimately, that's why. But no, I told FTFE's over there mouthing off and stuff, and I was like, dude, you eat your own sperm. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, on that note, no, not that note that you just said. That's really weird timing. But on the note of accusing people of being Nazis, Alan, I don't know if you know that, but both you and I appear on McToon's website under Nazi flirts. Now, I don't know if that's a new development, but I was
What? I'm like Nazi adjacent at best, bro.
Yeah, I know, but I
Did
wanted
I
to know
make the
that
cut?
because of your association with me, probably you're up there as well. So if you had any semblance of maintaining a job or getting paid for the, whatever, that's gone. So.
Tomato spaghetti-o.
Bride's definitely up there. You got your own page, I think.
Probably. Oh, yeah.
Good times, fellas. Good, thanks for holding it down, doing the Friday night thing.
I'm here for you guys, man. I wish these Globies would grab a nutsack and show up.
Well, if my text interactions are any indication, all they do is Google whatever you say or ask AI, and then paste that answer to you as if they thought of it. That's about as far as most of them.
Oh, dude. Dude, how about your boy earlier today who was like ChatGPT gave him the answer in decimal degrees, and he was like, "Look, the globe predicts 229."
Degrees a second because he didn't do his conversion. He was like, "Look at it,
well,
the same because I think that it's no. That's not what that means."
Oh, yeah, unit conversion will get you. It happened to me the first time too, honestly. So, but yeah, that was funny. All right, lads.